Hi,
You
Brian.
just said anything. I don't hear you.
Yeah, I just unmuted. I was automatic. I
Oh.
didn't notice I was on mute. How are you?
I'm doing quite well, Rich. How about yourself?
I'm well, thank you. Adjusting the light in here, it seemed a little strange.
Don't worry, you look good.
Oh, thank you. Likewise. Oh, all right. Hi, Harvey. Oh, Harvey, you're on.
Just so you know, I can't hear you right now. I don't know if anyone else can.
I was saying I've got my pajamas on. I hope everybody else has, since it's going to be past 11 o'clock. Hey, what do you think?
You got a
guys?
5 o'clock shadow there too, Harvey.
What do you think?
Looks good.
Looks good.
Let's start it for the fun of it, but I don't know how long I'll keep it on. I think maybe after the first meeting that we're actually going to be in City Hall, so that'd be probably February or March, whatever. Yeah. Well, the ladies like it at church, so how can I cut it off if the ladies like it?
Looks good, Harvey.
Hello, Sarah.
Hi, Sarah.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening. Ooh, that sounds very official. Okay. I have my Diet Pepsi right here.
Is everyone getting ready for their holiday?
Yeah, It's gonna be a little different this year.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah, we've had our Christmas tree up about 2 weeks now.
I put mine up early this year.
Did you?
Yeah, because we're going out of town. So.
Oh, well, we haven't been around looking at the other houses, so we're going to have to do that probably Saturday night.
We have done that a few times. So.
Here in the city or down Jefferson Avenue?
Both.
Yeah. The nice places in the city. Did you go down Lincoln? Somebody told me to go down Lincoln. Have you done that?
No, I haven't.
Okay. All right. I'm going to try that Saturday night then as well.
There's a map I know on Facebook too that like the group administrator runs. It has like a lot of different houses on it that are decorated in like St. Clair Shores, Eastpointe, Roseville.
There's one in my street on Edmonton. They have their entire front yard, the roof of their house, the driveway, everything is filled with the blow-up Christmas figures.
Oh.
I am familiar with that one.
Okay, yeah, I'm 3 houses away.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
Yep, a lot of traffic on our street this time of year with that Christmas display.
I bet. Yeah.
Hi, Madam Mayor.
Good evening, everyone.
Good
Hello,
evening.
Gary.
Good evening.
Hey, Mayor, how you doing?
Good evening. Good evening, everybody.
Hello.
Oh, me too. Oh, you got a,
Yes, hello.
you got yellow on. Sarah's got orange on.
Yeah, I'm wearing my jacket because it's like really cold in here today.
Well, you guys, both of you look nice.
Thank you. You got a goatee now. You know, last time I was on a speaker.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, That's nice.
Thank you. Do I look like Clark Gable or who? No, I know. Burl
Cart.
Ives. Burl Ives.
Hey, Rick.
Hey, Cardi.
Hey, Harvey.
We did it, everyone. It's our last council meeting of the year.
Yep.
So that's a blessing.
Mostly that we made it through the year.
Yes, we made it through the year. Yeah.
You see, Monique, Mary, there's something that you don't know about, but unfortunately we can't do it this year, but the mayor in the past has always taken the council out for dinner. And, you know, I don't mean,
I can't
know,
hear you.
the mayor would always take the council.
I can't hear. My thing is not working. Where's Brian? I can't hear.
Yeah,
There's
That's
no
called-
technical difficulty this time.
that's called selective hearing.
But I know
Okay.
you used to be the mayor, Mr. Councilman Curley. Did you take everybody out?
Every Christmas, yeah. Yeah, we did. We usually went to the Villa or the
Okay.
Cloverleaf, as long as it was in town.
Okay, I think
Yeah.
I can do that after COVID-19. It's
Okay.
kind of down a little bit.
Cardi, Sarah, write it down. I am.
Well, we got it on video and it's recorded, so I don't know if I can go back and say I didn't say it. So,
Yeah,
but that would be nice, though.
yeah, it would.
I think I'm gonna make
Okay.
sure that happens.
Have you got a quilt on your lap, Sarah? Are you that cold?
I am. I'm really cold today. I don't know why.
Well,
I
what you,
think it's because I'm tired because I didn't sleep well last night. So you know how when you get like really tired, you start getting cooler.
yeah, well, you know how you get 84 and you don't sleep as well?
Yeah.
If I get 84,
Right.
I do. Have one more minute before our meeting starts.
Okay, good evening.
Hello, Sylvia.
Hi, how are you all?
Hi, good
Excellent.
evening.
It's good.
There's Sylvia. Hi, Sylvia.
Hi, how are you?
Good. Hey, listen, we just got the mayor that she agreed to buy everybody dinner after we can go out in public. So keep that in mind.
It's not quite
Oh,
what I
okay.
heard, Mr. Curley. I heard she might consider it. I'm trying to save you here.
Thank you.
Would
Council
consider
members,
that after
just
COVID.
council members. I thought it was just council members.
It's 7 p.m. I want to welcome everyone to the Eastpointe City Council meeting. This is our last meeting of the year. Today on Tuesday, December 15th, 2020 at 7 p.m. We will start with the invocation led by Mayor Pro Tem, Sir Lucido, who has been doing it for the last couple of years and has been doing an awesome job with that. And then we're going to continue with the Pledge of Allegiance right after. Mr. Lucido.
Dear God, we ask for your guidance as we undertake the business of the city of Eastpointe. During this holiday season, please remind us of the blessings we have even during these trying times. Watch over all of the residents of Eastpointe to ensure they stay healthy as we continue to fight this terrible virus. We must all continue to work together to make the best decisions for our loved ones along with the loved ones of others. Please help us to stay strong, embracing patience as we finally may see some light at the end of the tunnel. It is in your name we pray. Amen.
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 I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. We have the roll call next. Can you please call the roll, Mr. Fairbrother?
Mayor Owens,
Here.
Councilperson Curley.
Here, Eastpointe, Michigan.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mayor Owens, what city?
Thank you. Eastpointe, Michigan.
And Mr. Curley is also in East Point.
I am.
Councilperson DeMonico,
Here, Eastpointe, Michigan.
Councilperson Lucido,
here, Eastpointe, Michigan.
and Councilperson Moore.
Here in Eastpointe, Michigan.
Thank you. We have next the approval of the agenda, and I would like to add to the agenda a speaker from the Emergency Management with Macomb County, Brandon Lewis. Are you on here, Mr. Lewis?
Yes, I am on.
Good evening. Brandon Lewis is again from the Emergency Management with Macomb County, and he's going to talk to us about the distribution of the vaccinations. I want the residents to hear how those things are going to be done, as well as council. I know sometimes we don't get to talk because he's so busy. So anybody has any questions about how those things are going to be passed out or distributed through our community, he is here to tell us how that's going to be done and some of the plans that me and him talked about earlier for next year or coming up as well. And I would like to add him to the agenda tonight.
Good.
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
I will make a motion to approve the agenda, adding Brandon Lewis from Emergency Management as a guest speaker right after the hearing of the public or before the hearing of the public.
Yes,
Right
ma'am.
after approval of the agenda. And I would also like to add item D in closed session, attorney-client privilege, Wazerly versus the City of Eastpointe.
Yes, thank you.
I'll support that.
Motion and support, please
The
call
second, the
roll.
latter item should have already been on the agenda anyway.
All right, Councilperson Lucido,
Yes.
Councilperson DeMonico,
Yes.
Mayor Owens,
Yes.
Councilperson Curley,
Yes.
and Councilperson Moore.
Yes.
Great. Mr. Lewis, good evening again. And residents who came tonight, he's going to be talking about the vaccinations that we all know about with COVID-19 and how that's going to be distributed in our community and throughout Macomb County. And I want you to hear firsthand from him, also a health official. Mr. Lewis, do you have a health official with you as well?
I do. I'm also joined by Andrew Cox. He's the Director of Environmental Health for the Macomb County Health Department.
Good evening, Mr. Cox. How are you?
Good evening, everybody, and thank you for having both myself and Brandon here.
Absolutely. Thank you for coming here and talking to us about what's going on and how are we affected, and how can we better help you do the distribution and things like that through our community, how Eastpointe can be a better service for our residents with using our facilities and so on and so forth. So I'm going to let you go ahead and speak.
Well,
Mr. Lewis.
Thank you, Mayor Owens, for the invitation to speak tonight. And hello to the City Council and all the residents on tonight. As the mayor said, between Andrew and I, we're going to give you an overview of where we currently are with the county's COVID-19 vaccination strategy. I would like to say that before we begin, that it is a bit of a moving target, as I'm sure you've seen from watching the news. Things are moving quite quickly, and things are subject to change. So some of the overview that we're going to give you here, but could change depending on circumstances in the real world. So where we're at today, as you've probably heard, the vaccine manufactured by Pfizer has been given an emergency use authorization in the United States and will begin shipping to select locations this week. We anticipate getting a limited number of doses here in Macomb County. Not long after that, I believe next week, they're going to hear an emergency use authorization request from Moderna for a second vaccine that will increase the quantity of vaccine that's going out into the community. So vaccine delivery within our communities has been prioritized essentially into 4 groups. The 1A group, which we will begin vaccinating almost immediately upon receipt, is healthcare workers and residents in long-term care facilities. Healthcare workers include EMS workers that are in your local fire departments and work for local EMS companies. It includes folks that work at and are affiliated with local hospital emergency rooms, and it includes the staff at those long-term care facilities that I discussed. Priority 1B, which we'll move into as vaccine quantities become more readily available, will be the remainder of first responders, such as police officers, and then people who work in critical infrastructure sectors. These are basically what you would think of as your essential workers, the people that have to go into work every day to keep the infrastructure and the gears and the wheels of society running forward. So they are the 1B priority group. The 1C priority group is adults over 65 and adults 18 to 64 who have a medical condition that may be exacerbated by contracting COVID, or who may have complications from fighting the disease. And then finally, the priority 2 group is the general public, meaning anybody not covered in one of the 3 groups that I mentioned previously. Before I go on to kind of how we're going to do that, Andrew, would you like to add anything to that for the group?
No, Brandon, I think you did a great job of covering that.
Okay.
And covered that well.
So thanks, Andrew. So sorry, I like to tag team these presentations. He's our health expert. I want to make sure that we don't miss anything as we go forward. So moving into the second part of that discussion is just a little bit of a talk about how we plan to get that vaccine out into the community. First, it's important to note that the county will not be the only distribution source for the vaccine, especially as we get closer to vaccinating the general public. Distributions that are going out are going to hospitals and the county, but as we get closer, you'll also be able to get that vaccine through pharmacies like CVS and Walgreens. You'll be able to get them from local doctors' offices, the places that you would traditionally get other vaccines, even like the flu vaccine. But to start out with, we will be opening a facility on our county campus. The facility's actually in Clinton Township. It's across from the county jail. It's in one of our county buildings, and it's there this week that we expect to give the first vaccinations to EMS workers and those essential workers who will be carrying out our vaccination strategy. So starting this week, healthcare workers will be vaccinated there at our site on the county campus. We intend to keep the vaccinations to the county campus at this point as we work on refining our processes so that we can move them out into our local communities. But as we move through those priority groups, especially when we get into the 1B group with the critical infrastructure employees, and the 1C group, older adults and those with health conditions, and then the general public, we look to move not only into a strategy where we're vaccinating at our facility on the county campus, but where we're partnering with our local communities in order to set up vaccination sites in the community. It's important to note that we want to refine our processes, but we are in the process now of actively discussing some of our local communities, in fact, about how we can partner with Eastpointe as far as vaccinating residents down there. But we're looking toward moving to that community-based community. That would typically involve us partnering with the community to facilities where we may be able to give vaccination. Coming up with a model for delivering the vaccines, helping to identify staff, assisting with facility layouts and all of those things. But it is our plan as a county, as we refine our processes, to get our vaccination teams out in the community and assist with vaccination in the community. Those, the Walgreens and the CVS and teams out, so that the vaccine distribution is as wide as possible, and hopefully by some is widely enough available to where anybody who would like to take the vaccine has available. Andrew, anything you'd like to add to that?
Yeah, Brandon, I think on my end, you're breaking up just a tiny bit a few times through that. So I don't know, it might just be on my end, but I think you touched on a lot of it, and kind of how we're looking at a multi-pronged approach to make sure that we're reaching out to different community partners and reaching the communities that were especially hardest hit throughout this pandemic, especially I think you touched on the congregate care facilities, the nursing homes, assisted living facilities, homes for the aged, and then also adult foster care. I believe you touched on the partnership that a lot of these facilities have partnered with Walgreens and CVS directly with, who will be going out to those facilities and vaccinating those congregate care sites. I think in addition to what you mentioned about, our site that we're standing up for the first responders, we would also be looking at potentially expanding that in the future, and to be doing potential community sites, which I believe you touched on as well, Brandon, and definitely, something that we'd want to look at, maybe potentially with Eastpointe and the community there to partner with. We are open to do that, and we want to make sure that we have this vaccine accessible as many ways as allowable and possible. Obviously, I think most people are aware of the challenges with the storage and handling of this vaccine, with the ultra low temperature and the handling and the requirements for thawing, and then also the requirements for recording that information into our Michigan Care Improvement Registry, which is the state database that we utilize. But I think it's important that we all try to get the word out and educate people to make the best decision they can for themselves. But I can tell you from a public health official that we're extremely excited about this. It's going to be one of the most challenging endeavors that we've ever had to face as public health, but you know what, it's something that we're very excited about. And we really want to promote people to think about getting vaccinated and having that discussion with their medical professional. And really, we're going to be posting a lot of information and public campaigns and marketing in the near future, once we get to that point where we have enough vaccine to offer in those different priority groups that you mentioned, Brandon. But really important to partner with our community partners to think about not only sites, but getting the word out to our neighbors in Macomb about the safety and efficacy of what the data has shown us, and be transparent with that. And so I think that's good for right now, Brandon, for me.
Okay, thanks, Andrew. With that, Mayor Owens, we'd both be happy to take questions from the council if you have any.
Well, I'm gonna start with council, then I'll start with asking questions, because I think I talked to you a little bit already, and I'll let any of the council members would like to ask Mr. Lewis or Mr. Cox any questions at this point. Just a moment. Any council members? And I'll open it up to if the residents want to ask some questions as well, because it's not only for council, it's for the residents as well. I don't think we have that many residents on the line, but some, might have questions. Do we have anybody that might have a question? Mr. Fairbrother.
Mayor Owens, I will open the floor for anyone with questions. If you do have a question, feel free to raise your blue digital hand at this time. I see Mr. Curley with a question. Yes, sir.
Okay.
You're muted.
Can't hear you, Mr.
Harvey,
Curley.
I'm 84 years old and I'm guesstimating that I would probably get a shot sometime in March. Is that what you're thinking? I know you don't know what the supply is, but if you had to guess, would you say somewhere in March?
Yeah, go ahead, Brandon.
No, Andrew, go ahead. You're more qualified to speak to that than I am.
So, Mr. Curley, I think we're all very excited and anxious as much as you are, I think, with getting the amount of vaccine. You're 100% right. We just don't know that right now. The time frame, how much are we going to get on a weekly basis? Like Brandon mentioned, the good news is also that Moderna is right around the corner. It appears, for getting approved, and I think we're really optimistic that that's also going to add to the allocation and the amount. So what we've heard is that time frame that late winter, early springtime, but we're really hesitant to give an exact time frame of when you can expect to get vaccinated. But that's really what we're hopeful and optimistic for, that time frame.
Great, thank you.
Anybody else have any questions?
Madam Mayor, I see no other individuals with their hand raised or their digital hand raised.
Okay, great. I'm going to ask Mr. Cox's question. On the website, I don't know which website, when you guys get done, let the residents and council know what website can we get the information, because I know a lot of people want to know the risk and the side effects of this vaccination, getting vaccine and things like that. And what are the risks and the side effects that people might want to know about?
Yeah, Mayor Owens, that's a great question. I think something that we always tend to link to CDC information.
Okay.
I believe on macomb.gov.org, if it's not already up, it will be up shortly. All kinds of information for the COVID vaccine. A lot of that is straight from the experts from CDC. We're also going to have the actual FDA EUA emergency use authorization fact sheet that also talks about that. This is something that we're going to need to provide every single resident that does get vaccinated. And that has a lot of good information too about adverse event monitoring using VAERS, and then also a new application called V-Safe, the letter V, which is something that CDC has created too, to help not only with adverse monitoring and reporting that, but also text reminders, because remember, both Pfizer and Moderna are a 2-dose vaccine, each of those. So we need to make sure that we have people coming back for their second dose as well.
Hey, Andrew, I assume you were explaining the 2 doses and the time between, but and the council missed most of your explanation on it.
Sorry about that, technology difficulties. So I was just explaining to Mayor Owens that she's exactly right. It's going to be very critical and important to get information out to the public. We're going to have a lot of that information, if not already out, on macomb.gov.org, our county website. And we're going to have information and linking the FDA emergency use authorization fact sheet, which has a lot of good information, not only for adverse monitoring events, but also information about the V-Safe application app that we are really promoting to allow residents to get reminders, text reminders for that second dose follow-up for both the Pfizer and Moderna vaccines that will be coming out.
Okay, so it's 2 doses that the residents have to take. And why is that? Why doesn't the first one do the job? Why you have to take the second one?
The reason why is based off the manufacturer, and the data supports that a second dose is needed for the full efficacy of 95%. So when you hear that 95% number, that's what was done during the trial and what is needed for the immune system response to to really exhibit an immune positive immune response that would really create the most effective and protective measures for your system.
Okay, and the time between the first one and the second one is how many weeks or months, or how does that go?
So for Pfizer, it's going to be 21 days, 3 weeks,
Okay,
and Moderna is 28 days or 4 weeks.
okay. So my next question is, just say I take the first dosage and I forget to, go back for my second one. Does that mess up the effect of the first one, or is, you know what I'm saying? How does that work?
Yeah, so it basically, Mayor, it would decrease your effectiveness of your vaccine. So early information and data, and I think we're going to learn a lot more about both of these vaccines. If that were the case, I think during the trials, if you just receive one dose, your efficacy of your vaccine is dropped down to in the 50% range.
Okay.
So that's why it's really important. We want to really stress that second dose, and people get that second dose.
Okay. And I know you said the hardest impact. I know in the beginning when it came, unfortunately, the word I said I was gonna say the word in the street. I'm from the east side of Detroit, so we say the word on the street, but the word in the county was, Eastpointe was the hardest hit at that time, was a hot spot at the time. So saying that, I would like to see us not be that, and knowing that we get treated, I know I'll be really selfish saying that I would like us to be, treated first, because like I said, we were hit the hardest. And I know you said you're trying to get to the communities that were hit the hardest, and Eastpointe was one of those communities in Macomb County, #1. And we didn't understand why in the beginning, because we wasn't told the statistics and the data at the time. But we would like to, like I was talking to Mr. Lewis about getting more COVID-19 testing and getting more, get the vaccination started here in Eastpointe as quick as possible, because that's where it started at. I don't know if you remember hearing about that earlier this year, about Eastpointe being one of the top hotspots in Macomb County. And I know you mentioned that you will be hitting those the hardest, those that were hardest impact. So how do you have that, numbered as far as going in that direction? What cities are you going to hit first? And is Eastpointe at the top 10?
Thanks, Mayor. I think when looking at communities, I think definitely Eastpointe is in that priority category. Okay. I can't tell you based off of early planning where they fall, what number, but definitely hear your point. And I think it is critical to not only talk about vaccination, but continual need for testing and availability of testing in our communities, because that won't stop for a while. It's important to know that it's going to take a while for our populations to get vaccinated. So testing is not going away anytime soon, and we would love to partner with you. I think we've done it a few times in Eastpointe. We've partnered with the Wayne State University Physicians Group to offer testing at the Montessori there. And I think we did also something in the community park as well. We'd love to revisit that and offer additional testing in your community, Mayor.
Right, I know it's talking to Mr. Lewis about doing something on a continuous basis, like every at City Hall. They have a mobile organization that does it with Wayne State and Access, I believe, or another organization which we can do it on a regular basis. I know we tried, me and Ms. Dillman, the director, we tried to do it and we did the best that we could. And we have something new as far as the coronavirus. Everybody wanted it in their community, so we did it as best as we could. But even though we have the vaccinations coming out, we still want to make sure that people are still getting, tested. And again, I would like to see Eastpointe at the top of that list as being vaccinated the most, because like I said, we was the hardest hit. And when you coming into Macomb County, the first city you come to is Eastpointe. And so I always want to make sure my residents and, and the people who come here are covered, and we have we have a couple different buildings that are not being used right now. If you needed those facilities to use and distribute, the vaccinations. I was talking to Mr. Lewis about that earlier today as well. And if you have any other ideas, you can talk to our city manager and our council about other ways or partnering up with you. We have the churches. I know earlier we did something with Love Life as well. Their church, they did the mobile with access in Wayne State. I was there as well. And saw how they did, and it wasn't a big amount of people that came out. I was kind of disappointed, but it was people that did come out. I don't know if they passed the word out as much, and sometimes people just don't know. And but I feel like if it's on a continuous basis, like twice a month or every other week or something like that, it will, everybody, it's a regular thing and people know where to come to. So, Mr. Lewis.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, I know we were talking about that earlier.
Yeah, and I think that Andrew and I would both agree that we're obviously willing to partner out with you on not only bringing some additional testing resources into Eastpointe, but in helping you stand up a vaccination site when the time comes that it's easily accessible within the community, serves the residents in an easy way, and is good for the community.
Right, I appreciate that. Do you have any other, I know everything is new to you as well. And so I know you only got so much information you give us at this time. I just thought it was very informative to tell the residents that this is here, it's coming out. And you said you don't know what, I know Mr. Curley, Councilman Curley asked, what were the dates would those be distributed? And you said you're not sure.
Yeah, we'd really hesitate to put dates on, when we're going to do specific tiers, because that's completely dependent on vaccine manufacturing and vaccine distribution. And those are things that unfortunately at this point, we just don't have a solid answer on beyond the first few initial doses that we're going to be getting for that 1A priority group soon. But we will be, when we receive that vaccine, we will be working with our community partners to make sure that the community is getting vaccinated as quickly as possible.
Absolutely. Please just continuously keep in touch with the director, the city manager, me and council, and just keep us updated on what's going on. And also, is there a number or a website the residents can call you, or they can go look up this information themselves? If they have any questions, or email?
Yeah, on the web, we have an entire web page dedicated to COVID-19. And once our vaccination information, becomes more readily available, that information will be going up on that COVID-19 webpage. It's on the Macomb County Health Department's website. So if residents visit the Macomb County Health Department's website, they can easily access our COVID-19 page there, and it has all the pertinent information they'll want: where to find testing, current case stats, information about vaccination as it comes out. I'd really recommend that residents check there first, because all the information they should need should be available on that website.
Absolutely. And for those that don't know, because no question is a stupid question, but the vaccine is free. A lot of people think that it's a cost to it. Am I correct, Mr. Lewis? It is free.
That is my understanding, Andrew. I did not misunderstand that. Correct.
Okay. So it is free for those. And like I was talking to him, we're trying to understand how that's going to work, as far as when he told us the levels of different people that were going to get it, as far as first responders, the essential workers, then certain people of a certain age, and then certain people with a certain age group that have pre-existing conditions. And then we talked about, how are you going to service all the residents? Is that going to be by, making an appointment, or are you going to have a whole bunch of people standing in line for this vaccination? I was asking them, how is that going to be really organized? And I think you guys said you're working on how to do that.
Yeah,
right
we're
now.
still working on how to do that. Obviously, this is all very new to us. It's a very fast-moving process, and we're working on the logistics of how those sites will work. And a lot of those issues we intend to work through as we open the site here on the county campus, and we work through those initial priority groups.
Okay, I think I've seen a couple questions in the chat, and then we're gonna move right ahead to the hearing of the public. But we have a couple, Mr. Fairbrother, do you have any questions concerning what we're talking about right now about the vaccinations distribution?
Let's see here. So somebody has made a comment. So what happens if you get one kind of shot, then the second dose is another kind? How will that affect the person?
That's not how the vaccination works. If your first dose is one specific type of the vaccine, the second dose has to be that same specific type. They're not necessarily engineered. They're not engineered to work together. So, for example, if your first dose is the Pfizer vaccine, 21 days later you have to get a second dose of the Pfizer vaccine. If it's the Moderna vaccine, 28 days later you have to get a second dose of the Moderna vaccine. And that's carefully planned to make sure that that folks do get the correct second dose.
Okay, that was a good question. Do we have any more?
No, ma'am. I see no other comments in the chat box, as well as no other digital hands raised.
Okay, thank you,
Well,
sir.
with the exception of the first one, if 313 does have their digital hand raised, so I don't know if we'd like to give them the opportunity to verbally address the council.
You have a question concerning the emergency management. I'm speaking with Brandon Lewis and Mr. Cox.
Mr. Lewis, my question to you is, we have a lot of elderly people in Eastpointe. So let's say they get that Pfizer shot first, but down the line, they forget in 21 days it was a Pfizer shot and they're administered the Moderna shot. What will happen? That I was the one that wrote the question in the chat box, but my concern is a lot of the
I'm going to let Mr. Cox to answer that. I believe there are safeguards built in on our side to ensure that doesn't happen. But Andrew, can you speak to that?
Yeah, you're exactly right, Brandon, and thank you for the question from the resident. To answer your question there, the whole reason why we use our registry is to safeguard against that. So once you get vaccinated, we put your record into that registry. So we not only know when you got it, but what kind of dose you got. And so we will make sure we verify that when you go to get your second dose, that indeed you got the Pfizer vaccine, or if at that time the Moderna vaccine is available and we're distributing and allocating those as well, we'll make sure that you got the right dose, whether it be the Pfizer or the Moderna for your second dose.
Okay, thank you for your time.
You're very welcome.
I think that's all the questions we have, and I believe that if council and I have more questions, we know how to get in touch with you. But please get in touch with us as soon as you know anything and how we can partner up so everything can be set up. So when everything is time to be distributed, we'll be set up and organized. We won't be all over the place. So I want to say thank you again to Mr. Lewis and Mr. Cox for coming out tonight and talking to our residents and our staff and our directors about what's going on with this vaccination. And you have a good night. And happy holidays.
You too, Baron. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thanks for having us, and we look forward to working with you very soon.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is a hearing of the public, and the hearing of the public is now open. You get 3 minutes. State your name and your residency. And please be respectful and speak to council as a whole. And let's open it up. Mr. Fairbrother.
Yes, Madam Mayor, I'm going to give it 30 seconds here while we give the users an opportunity to raise their blue digital hands or wave to me in your into your camera. Oh, I see Miss Mary Hall Rayford has her hand raised. Miss Rayford, the floor is yours.
Good evening.
Good evening. That was really interesting information. I'm glad someone explained it to the residents as a whole, primarily because I'm sure many don't get a chance to watch the news probably as much as I do, so it was really helpful. But my question is regarding the resolution for the ranked choice voting. And really curious as to why there would even be a resolution for this to be expanded when it has not worked as intended in Eastpointe. So I'm looking for some understanding of that, because it didn't really make a lot of sense to me. I know not everything has to make sense to me, but considering the fact that a number of people have complained about RCV and the fact that it's just too complicated, I thought I would raise that issue, considering the fact that it's on the agenda for a resolution tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. You have anyone else, please?
Madam Mayor, I see no other digital blue hands raised. I see no comments in the, oh, I see Mr. Gary Sasek is raising his hand and waving at me. Mr. Sasek, the floor is yours.
Good evening, Mr. Sasek.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, Council, guests. Gary Sasek, lifelong resident of East Detroit, Eastpointe, Michigan. I also am concerned about the resolution that's on the agenda for later tonight. I have actually been opposed to ranked choice voting from the get-go, but I believed, having worked the elections also, that we would give it a shot. I personally do not believe ranked choice voting works in the city. And I would hope that we don't send a resolution to the state legislature hoping to have something backdoored onto us where we are going to continue to have ranked choice voting if it is not mandated that we have to continue doing that. So I just wanted to voice that I am opposed to the concept of ranked choice voting because I do not believe it works. Thank you very much for your time and have a good holiday.
Happy holidays to you and Ms. Rayford. I didn't get to see it, to Ms. Rayford. Anyone else?
Madam Mayor, I see no other comments in the chat box, no other blue digital hands raised, and no one is waving at me in their screen. So I believe it's now safe to close the floor.
Thank you, sir. The first hearing of the public is now closed. We're going to approval of the minutes. Council.
Madam Mayor,
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I'll motion to approve the special meeting minutes of December 1st, 2020.
Support.
Moved and supported. Any comments? Seeing none, we have motion support. Please call the roll.
Councilperson Lucido,
Yes.
Councilperson DeMonico,
Yes,
Councilperson Moore,
you're muted. So.
He's muted.
Can't hear you.
Yes. Yes.
Councilperson Curley,
Yes.
and Mayor Owens.
Yes. Next item is the approval for the regular meeting minutes for December 1st, 2020.
Madam Mayor, I would move that we approve the minutes of the regular meeting for December 1st, 2020.
Support.
Moved and supported. Please call the roll.
Councilperson Curley,
Yes.
Councilperson Moore,
Yes.
Councilperson Lucido,
Yes.
Councilperson DeMonico,
Yes.
and Mayor Owens.
Yes, we have no scheduled hearings today. We have no unfinished business. We're going to move right along to reports from administration, starting with our city manager, Ms. Doom. Good evening, Ms. Doom.
Good evening, Madam Mayor. I really appreciate, as I'm sure all of our listeners do, that Mr. Lewis came out and gave us some very good information. I'd like to add that I will monitor the county website and direct our residents to that site from our website and also from our Facebook page, because they may not go to the county site, but they'll still see it on ours and then share it with the other community sites. So we'll try our absolute best to keep our community aware of how this is moving very quickly. I did hear from our police chief earlier. They certainly have had their discussions with the county as to who's going to be having these vaccinations first. And, as they explained, how that's going to go down the line, but we only have a limited amount right now and more is being made. So it's going to be a constant monitoring of what's happening in our county. Mayor, this is near and dear to your heart. We've got some information that the Michigan Economic Development Corporation, or as we call it, MEDC, has a new round of funding available for businesses. So if businesses are struggling, which most of them are, especially with COVID shutdowns again, please come to our Facebook page. We've got the information for you. Everything that I'm going to share this evening is already on our Facebook page. So we encourage people to come look, share, but we're really excited that they have received funds to be able to distribute through the state to help businesses survive during this time. I do want to remind all of our residents that December 18th is the last day for yard waste pickup. So if you still have work to do around your yard and you want the last of it cleaned up, December 18th is your cutoff date, and then you have to keep those leaves for a while. They're not going anywhere. But that's really very adequate time for everyone to get their yards cleaned up, especially with this kind of mild winter that we've had so far. And last but least, just want to remind people that Christmas is almost upon us, and we are officially closed to the public the 23rd, 24th, and 25th of December. And that's all I have for you this evening.
Thank you. Any questions for our city manager, anyone?
Sure, Mayor, I had a couple items.
Okay, yes, sir.
All right, thank you. Hi, Elke. Thanks for that report.
Welcome.
I was wondering if you could update us on the body cams. I saw they were in the bills today.
I will have police chief, if he's with us, give you an update. He and Brian worked on that solicitation for it. Brian, I don't see our police chief on. Brian, can you give us an update on where we stand with that, please? Brian?
You're muted, Brian.
I have not been deeply involved in the implementation of the police cameras. I did speak with Charles this morning of EP Tech, our IT company, and he said that they are in the process of upgrading certain IT infrastructure still that is requisite in order to deploy the cameras. As far as a timeline, we would have to speak with our director to find that out exactly.
Thank you, Brian.
Okay. Yeah, if you could update us whenever, that'd be fine. Then I had another question about the asphalt project. Some of the bigger projects, we've done like a one-page summary in the past. I was just curious if we could do that for this recent project on the 3 different streets where we put the asphalt down. Just
absolutely.
Just see where, how much we spent, that sort of thing. I think Mr. Marucci's put most of those together. I think that'd be helpful for that, especially considering the agenda item later today.
Okay, and I know Mr. Marucci's not with us, but Mr. Abraham, I saw him on with us a little earlier, so he's able to hear what you've requested. We'll get that to you.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, the resurfacing of all those 4 streets have been completed substantially. The contract was awarded initially for 682,000. We submitted a request to the Honorable Council for a change order for various reasons and 138,000. The change order was approved for 138,000. Now the contract stands at 820,000. We already paid $796,000 to the contractor. So the work has been substantially completed. There are some minor punch list items to be completed, which we hope the contractor will come back and then do that quickly. So all the streets have been completed, and then as I don't know whether some of you or the Honorable Council have a chance to take a look at the street. It is a day and night difference or a night and day difference. The street all looks very good. And then since we put 3.5 inches thick asphalt in 2 layers, my hope is that it should last at least 25-30 years.
Thank you. And then 2 more quick items. I saw we also bought some fire hydrants, I think, in the bills. I thought we had bought quite a few just a few years back. So I don't know. I guess you could follow up with me if nobody knows off the top of their head. And then the other item, it looked like we had salted our city buildings on Sunday. Is that true? That seemed unusual to me.
On Sunday, Mr. Fairbrother, did you have the building salted on Sunday?
So actually, I saw that and I've already reached out to Expert because there's no reason for them to have salted on Sunday. There was not any type of sufficient snow. So I have already contested that, and I have explained to them that if 2 snowflakes fall on the ground, that it's probably not necessary to remove that snow. So
Okay.
they're being a little too proactive now. So we're trying to adjust and really dial them in so that we're
Yeah,
we can all be on the same
proactive.
page.
Yeah, proactive's good, but not a dry day that was above the freezing point the whole day.
I 100% agree.
Okay, yeah, that was all I had. Thank you, Madam Mayor, and thank you, Elke.
You're welcome.
For your questions, Councilman. Anybody else have any questions for our city manager? Seeing none, we're going to go to our Director of Finance, Mr. Blum. Good evening.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and Council. Just a couple topics. First of all, the bound audit report finally arrived today. I think Amazon slowed everything down. So you will get the final bound version in your Friday packet this week. So you can look forward to that. It's exciting reading. And then the other thing is the damage to the council chambers. We have had the contractor in, we've matched the block and the brick, and that's been ordered. They were in yesterday, matched the carpeting, that's being ordered. The only item left is some wallpaper they have to try to find a match to. The anticipation is it will be mid to late January when they start. But they can work through the winter months. They basically just set up some plastic around the area and keep it heated, and they do their work all winter long. So by the time we get back into council chambers after COVID, it should be looking really nice. The whole council carpeting's getting replaced. They may have to do all of the wallpaper. It depends on how well they can match it. So it's going to look good when we get back in there. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Any questions for our Finance Director? Anyone?
I had one question, Mayor.
Yes, sir.
And Mr. Blum, you might not know this, off the top of your head, but I'd just like to request, since we had that rate study with AEW, I was just curious where we were at with the 25 to 30% cushion in the water sewer fund as we discussed when we completed that study.
Yeah, I'll be trying to get a work session going, hopefully in January or February before budget. The operating cushion is pretty much non-existent due to the lack of increases and then the reduction in water usage. There's a slight one, but and our target was 2.5 million cushion for operating, and that's nowhere to be found. We're in the low 100,000s. So, but we'll take that up when we get into budget season.
Okay, and I was meaning it not just like yearly. I think we were trying to build up a cash reserve in the fund. I thought that was a 25 to 30%, not per year.
Well, the idea was we were trying to get $2.5 million cushion over about over a 5-year period. That was kind of the goal. And we did not come close to achieving that. So.
Okay. Yeah, we can of course review that further.
Yep.
Thanks.
Welcome. Any other questions for our Finance Director? Seeing none, moving right along with our City Attorney, Mr. Albright. Good evening.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, members of council. Madam Mayor, members of council, in light of the multiple items scheduled for a closed session this evening, I do not have anything to add during my report section. I'm certainly happy to answer any questions anyone has for me this evening.
Any questions, council, for our City Attorney? Seeing none, moving right along to new business.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Starting with item A, approval of additional MERS contribution and budget amendment, BA 21-02. Council.
Sure, Madam Mayor, I'll motion that we approve an additional contribution to MERS prior to December 31st in the amount of $532,027 and approve the related budget amendment, BA 21-02.
Support.
Before we go into that, Mr. Blum, you still there? Mr. Blum still there? Can you tell the residents where that money came from and why is that being added as a contribution and what that means real quick?
Yes, this is personnel cost that was budgeted for last fiscal year and was not spent. We've done this over the past 3 years, where if we underspend the previous year's personnel budget, that we use that to make an extra contribution into the pension. As discussed at the last meeting with the audit, the pension has about a $45 million underfunding. So every little bit helps, and that will reduce future contributions by making them now. So that's kind of the game plan we're focusing on. We can't afford it, so just requesting that we do it.
Thank you, sir. We have motion and support. Please call the roll.
Councilperson DeMonico,
Yes.
Councilperson Lucido,
Yes.
Councilperson Moore,
Yes.
Councilperson Curley,
Yes.
Mayor Owens.
Yes, moving right along to item B, to receive and file the fiscal year 2019-2020 comprehensive annual financial statements.
Madam Mayor, I'll motion to receive and file the City of Eastpointe Comprehensive Annual Financial Report for the year ending June 30th, 2020.
Support.
Moved and supported. Please call the roll.
Councilperson Lucido,
Yes.
Councilperson DeMonico,
Yes.
Councilperson Curley,
Yes.
Mayor Owens,
Yes.
Councilperson Moore.
Yes.
The next item C is the adoption of resolution number 1912, the recertification process for redevelopment ready community program through MEDC. We have our economic manager, Ms. Holman. Can you explain what that means before we go into voting, please, for our residents?
Yes, absolutely. First of all, I was pleased to learn that Eastpointe was the second community in the state to actually become RRC certified in the beginning of the process. The city went through the formal process in 2014 and again in 2017. MEDC has a 3-year process. This is perfectly timed, and they have also streamlined and really made so many tools and resources available. The city is beginning the process of revising the zoning ordinance. We have the reconstruction of 9 Mile coming up. We have the SEMCOG Planning Assistant Program for Transportation Equity Grant. And we're also revising the website. So both MEDC and Laura Haw, who is handling the zoning ordinance at McKenna, are very adept and knowledgeable about this process. We also have Complete Streets. So it's a perfect timing. We are up for our 3-year. They're assisting us with all kinds of tools. And this is bringing us resources from the state, including possible reinvestment grants and things like that, to identify sites that are redevelopment ready, to put us in the path for redevelopment, and also to help our different redevelopment commissions, including the Planning Commission, the Zoning Board of Appeals, and the DDA, in terms of training and other resources that are available to help them make the best decisions and have everything they need to move us forward. So it doesn't cost us anything, and in the end, it will bring us tools and resources that hopefully will bring investors into the city.
Yeah, since we have you on here, I should have asked you to have this ready. I think you might have a idea of how many businesses came to Eastpointe this year, even though due to COVID-19, how many new businesses that we have.
So I don't know how many new businesses. I don't have the exact number, Mayor, and I can get that for you. But I do know that that we have people through COVID and everything else that have really pushed and been in front of different commissions several times over to bring investment into the city. I'm interested in speaking with some of them because the idea is to make investment an easy process, to make and I've been talking with Ms. Hardcastle, our new building official, in terms of, and this is a big goal, make this streamlined. So there are things that MEDC suggests as best practices in terms of pre-approval, not pre-approval, but meetings in advance, informal meetings, things like that. And Ms. Hardcastle has actually started doing that with some of our people who are investing in the city to really be attractive. The goal is to be positive and to be attractive and to make this easy for people to invest in businesses in the city. We have a young woman on tonight who is bringing her third business to the city, and two of them in the midst of COVID. So I'm hoping that council, she's jumped through a lot of hoops with Planning Commission and worked with Ms. Hardcastle. So I'm really hoping that she brings us a fourth one next year because she's done a lot of work to stay here in the city and bring some resources.
Yeah, let's make sure we help her do that. That's why we need to create something. If you can, I know we were talking about that, creating grants for new businesses and, businesses. You said this is her third business. It's still a new business. So helping people who want to invest in Eastpointe, making it an easier transition, especially if you're doing it through COVID. I think that's outstanding. Thank you, Ms. Holman. Any questions for Ms. Holman? I'm seeing none. Can we get a motion, please? Thank you.
Madam Mayor, I'd like to recommend a motion to approve the city's participation in the redevelopment ready community to recertification process with the state of Michigan's Economic Development Cooperation, and further authorize the city manager to execute resolution number 1912 and all other documents related to the program as provided by the MEDC.
Support.
Moved and supported. Please call the roll.
Councilperson Moore,
Yes.
Councilperson DeMonico,
Yes.
Councilperson Lucido,
Yes.
Councilperson Curley,
Yes.
Mayor Owens.
Yes, moving right along to item D, the introduction and first reading of ordinance number 1205 to amend the codified ordinances of the city of Eastpointe by replacing section 2-525 with a new section 2-525 entitled City Fee Schedule for Public Records and City Services and Programs. Council.
Mayor, I know I had sent in an email with a bunch of questions. I figured instead of trying to hash through them here, and I believe we don't have all the answers, I'd suggest we table this item till our next meeting at least, or as long as administration needs to respond to us.
When did you send those questions, sir? Today?
I don't remember when. It was a few days ago, wasn't today.
Was it? I don't remember receiving those questions. Did you
Well,
send it to all of us?
Well, anytime I send one, I don't copy all of council in for Open Meetings Act reason, but the response from the city manager would go to all of us, but I didn't receive any responses to any questions yet. Ms. Doom had responded to me that there'd be follow-up, but I hadn't received any answers yet.
Ms. Doom?
Yes, ma'am. He did have some questions which I forwarded to our building director. And as I responded to Mr. DeMonico today, she took those questions to heart and was kind of almost preparing a dissertation. And that's not exactly that's quite a bit of work. So she was trying to prepare as much information as to where these proposed fee schedules have come from. Many of them have been proposed by Mary Van Haren, who did quite a bit of research. So Erin was trying to research back through the notes that Mary had as to which cities she contacted, what other communities' rates are, And she got so busy today, she tried to pull it all together, but wasn't able to. So it's a good thing that we wait perhaps for another meeting, or if the council is interested, we could always have this as part of a work session where we could go line by line and really take a look at every one of these fees and have a good understanding before council makes a decision. That's a potential option for you.
Okay.
Madam
I'll
Mayor?
let her,
Madam Mayor?
go ahead, sir.
Yeah, thank you. There are several line items about the price increase that I don't quite understand. As a matter of fact, I scratched my head and asked myself, why are we doing this? A workshop probably would work. There's 21 pages of fee schedules, and there are several that I would ask, why are we increasing something like this? Just another question, Council and Madam Mayor and City Manager.
Yeah.
Something like this. We got our packet. At least I got my packet about 5 or 5:30 Friday afternoon, right?
Yeah.
That would give me between then and this afternoon to try to get questions answered. So something like this, would it work if we got this Friday night and it said it's going to be on the agenda, 2 agendas from then? In other words, it would be on the agenda the first meeting in January, instead of us trying to ask questions in the 48 hours that we have on Monday and Tuesday. I don't know if that would work or not. I don't know if you've done that or not, but it's like the 11th hour. I told you before that it's like getting punched in the nose when you have to deal with something on the 11th hour. So I would not be opposed to sitting down with the department heads and go through the line items.
Yeah, we can do
But
something
certainly we should table it.
I agree. Going back to what I was asking Councilman DeMonico about sharing the question, when we come to council meetings, I would like us to be better prepared with questions. So even if you sent it to me, or even if Ms. Doom shared it with me or someone else, we could have been at least know that you had concerns. I didn't know it was a concern to you or a concern to Mr. Curley about certain things. And it would have took a teamwork for us to talk about how we can go forward with it. That was something I was talking about.
These are recommendations from the department heads, and
right.
I'm not sure even taking those concerns and emailing to somebody is going to help it. It's still part of the document that we have to vote on or change, and you can't do that unless it's at a council meeting.
Well, we also do our research before council meeting, which you just said, and I was.
But you can't do the research when you get your packet at 5 o'clock on Friday. You don't have enough time to do that.
Right. No, I get what you're saying, but what I'm saying is, because I think I talked about this earlier about trying to get the packet a little bit earlier than Friday, maybe Thursday, because we get on Friday, it's the weekend, So I get what you're saying. But what I'm saying is, when a council member has a issue with something and the manager knows about it, I feel like, we should also, all find some type of way to understand it in another way where you don't agree. That's what I'm saying. So if you're saying you don't understand where these numbers come from, and I don't understand where these numbers come from, you should sit back and talk to the people who made up these numbers and have a meeting with them, whether it be on Friday or before. So while they're even putting these numbers together, they should talk to council about it before we start voting on these things. And so, so we can move forward. That's what I'm saying. Ms. Doom, do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes, I do. And it is quite a bit to absorb in a short period of time. And we would love to have that agenda out to you sooner. But if you remember back some meetings ago, it was voted upon that the council had until Friday at noon to add additional agenda items. So Otis, who's with us on camera tonight, he is put in a holding pattern until at least noon on Friday before our council meeting, before he's able to print in case there's any last minute additions. And that was something that council agreed upon. I think Rich brought it to us. He kind of read how it was. Council does have, of course, the right to revisit that and create another date. We do have Wednesday at noon for our department heads so that we have adequate time to put it into our system. But council has, as I said, until noon on Friday. So many times we sit there waiting till 12:01 to make sure there's no last minute additions. And then they go through the process of getting it all printed and to you. So our hands are a little bit tied too. We'd like to get it earlier, but we can't.
Madam Mayor?
Yes, ma'am.
Can I just ask one question? And they might not have the answer tonight, but I just want to make sure I ask this question because it's in regard to this item. And I'll support tabling it so we can get the answers to our questions. I have no problems with that. But I do have just one question for the building department because I believe she's on here tonight. And that's about the sidewalk assessment program fee. I was just interested in what the fee was before and why it's necessary to do a fee now. So that was my biggest question out of all these. But I was hoping to get like a brief overview this evening on why some of these rates were going up anyways. So if we would want to table this and whether we do a work session or just get an email from all the different department heads that are requesting increases, a brief overview for us to review, I think that would, I would be fine with that all.
Council Pro Tem, Sarah, I can answer that. Ma'am Elke, do you want me to answer now or?
Yes, please, for your department, it would give the council a little bit of content. Erin is with us also. She can weigh in a little bit, and the police department should be with us and weigh in on their sections.
No, this is a question raised by Council Pro Tem Mayor Ms. Lucido regarding the sidewalk assessment.
Yes, okay.
Until last year, the sidewalk assessment program was run by the building department. In 2020, Department of Public Works took the responsibility, or it was assigned to Department of Public Works. So we ran that program in 2020. I submitted a recommendation to the finance director as well as to the city manager to increase the fee, that is the administrative fee, from 10% to 25%. And that increase was proposed to recover the cost associated with running the program. It is a very laborious program. We have several steps to follow to run this program. First one is a staff or staffs have to walk through the entire assessment district to identify the sidewalk and the approaches that need to be replaced. Then they have to measure each and every sidewalk flag and the driveway approaches. They also have to measure and identify the ADA compliant ramps needed to be constructed. And this is a laborious process. All the sidewalk flags need to be identified and measured. And then we have to keep a file to show address-wise location of all improvements needed. It could be a city-owned property, it could be a private property, and then we have to separate between the two. So that is to identify the total quantity of each pay item. That is how many 4 inches sidewalk, how many 6 inches sidewalk, how many driveway approaches, how many handicap ramps, how many tiles, the vitrified tiles to be installed. All this quantity need to be measured. This is a laborious process. Then I forgot the first step. The first step is to submit to the council a resolution to have the council approve the assessment district. That was done already for 2021. And so once the council approve the assessment district, then we have to send a letter to all the residents in the assessment district that they have until November 15th to replace the sidewalk on their own. We give them 4 choices. One is to replace the sidewalk on their own. Second one is to have them hire a contractor to replace it by themselves in case they have to do a permit, pull a permit from the city. The third one is the city will do it and then assess the cost on the property. So we give them a choice and they have the choice to comply with by November 15th of each year. In case they don't do that one, then we will go to option 3 and then we will do the second step, which I described, identify the quantities to be done. Then we have to advertise, we have to prepare bid documents, advertise, select a contractor to do the job. And then when the contractor is doing the job, we have to provide inspection. Even to prepare the bid documents, we have to pay a fee to AEW for the document preparation. And then during the construction, we have to closely monitor whether the contractor is complying with our specification. And then somebody has to provide inspection. And then once the work is completed, somebody has to take a measurement of each and every sidewalk flag installed by the contractor for 2 reasons. One is to verify the initial quantity matches with the actual quantity. And then secondly, to verify the correct bill payable to the contractor. And then once this is done, we tabulate all the cost, private property versus city property, or accessible versus non-accessible, DDA versus non-DDA area, and then send the cost tabulation to the finance director for him to send the invoice. Then the finance director has to prepare invoice and send it to all the residents where we have replaced the sidewalk, which was their responsibility. So this is a laborious process. I sat with our staff. I identified the labor hours involved to run the program and then came up with that 25%. Again, it is to recover the actual cost. Until last year, we were charging only 10% and then we were subsidizing that very heavily. That program cannot sustain by charging only 10%. By charging the 25%, at least we are recovering our cost, which I described.
Okay, so this is my concern. So as a homeowner in the city, let's say I have a corner lot and I need to have 8 squares replaced at approximately $250 per square. That would give me approximately $500 in fees that I'm paying, right? For all of this administrative duties that you're speaking of. And I know that the gentleman's coming out here and marking the sidewalks and measuring it, but for $500, I don't think that it's really taking him that much time to measure all these blocks on my, to measure all the blocks on my sidewalk. And the administrative thing is equal for every resident in the house, in the city, whether they're having none replaced or if they're having 1 replaced. It's all being, the record keeping part of it is all equal. So I'm just looking at it as if you do have to have 4 or 5 blocks replaced, like that fee is adding up substantially. And then it gets to a point where is that where it's going to be cheaper for the homeowners to do this on their own, and then we are going to lose out as the city on a bulk rate price because we're not going to be doing enough if we're only doing very small amounts of properties. So that's my biggest concern, because 25% just seems such a big increase.
No, let me clarify that. Let's say this year for a 4-inch sidewalk flag, the rate was $4.63 per square foot. For a 6-inch driveway approach flag, it was $5.94. And if a resident hire a contractor to do a flag or 2, it would be at least twice that cost. So the residents are getting a great break or a discount by the city doing the job in the first place. Secondly, the cost of 25% is on the actual construction. Let's say a sidewalk flag is 5 by 5, 25 square feet. And then by $4.63, the resident will be paying only $115.75. That is $4.63 times 25. I believe it is $115.75 if my math is correct. I don't have a calculator. I am doing it in my mind. So $115.75 you are paying for one flag, whereas, and then the admin fee of 25% is on $115.75, which is equals to, let's say, 25 plus, let's say 27 or $28. So altogether, you are paying $28 plus that 115, that is $143 for one flag. Whereas I bet if you hire a contractor to do one flag, a resident will pay at least double the cost.
Ms. Lucido?
No, that's the only question I have. I just think that, as increasing it by 15% just seems outrageous. And like I said, I understand what he said. His point is correct. I'm not saying that he's wrong, but that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that some residents have more cement than others, and then they're paying a lot larger chunk of the change when it comes to replacing these sidewalks that are made for everyone to use. I mean, the sidewalk in front of your house or in front of my house isn't just for us to use, it's for everyone that's walking down the street. So, I understand we're responsible to maintain it, but now we're in charge of, paying, if you own more sidewalk, all these extra administrative fees. So that's my biggest concern about that.
Councilman Curley?
Yeah, thank you, Madam. Thank you, Madam. Thank you, Madam.
Based on.
Okay. Madam Mayor, this is exactly why I think we ought to table. We had one question which took 15 minutes, which is fine, but doing it at a council meeting is not. So we have, if say all five of us didn't agree with this increase, would we vote tonight on that one item to decrease it? So I would like to, let me make a table motion if I might, Madam Mayor, and see what happens. I would move to table this item until such time that the council and the department heads can have a workshop concerning these items. And the workshop should not be an hour or before a regular council meeting. It needs to be one in itself on a particular day or night. So that would be my motion, Madam Mayor.
Okay, I agree. Thank you, Mr. Abraham. He's our Director of Public Works, for coming in tonight. But that is exactly what I was saying, in agreement with Councilman DeMonico, well, all of council. We have stuff on the agenda. I feel like it's our job to research, to be proactive of what we have in front of us, and then give the residents an executive summary of what these items are. Because they're not going to understand everything what Mr. Abraham said in one meeting, and we are not either. So if we give them an executive summary of what Ms. Holman did and vice versa, it'll be better than saying, what are these fees for? And I don't know what you're talking about at a council meeting. It looks like we don't know what we're doing. We should already know what these fees are. So in the future, Ms. Doom, when things like this come to us, can we already before it comes, as a meeting, can we already know why are we changing our fees? Number one, and what those new fees look like. And we get that, because we didn't even know we were changing fees until we got it on Friday. You know what I'm saying? And why these fees were changed. And then we can come up with a meeting. We had questions individually to you, and then we bring it in a meeting, and then we bring it to a council meeting and vote. And then we have an executive summary and why we did that. It looks more organized. It looks like we did more research, and we can move forward than having 15-minute with different directors trying to explain something that nobody will probably understand in one night when these people are professionals. So we want to give people an executive summary of what we're talking about so they can be in tune of what's going on, and so on and so forth, and have that workshop. So we have a motion on the floor to table this and have a workshop coming up soon, and we'll let the residents know when that date is. So if they want to be a part of that and talk about those fees as well, they are open to do that. Can I get support on that motion from Mr. Curley?
And Mayor, I'll support that. If I can ask one overall question, it's not about a specific item, real quick question before we vote on that motion. I know we had put out to bid for someone to suggest a fee schedule to us. At least I saw it in Mitten. How come we didn't do that? It looks like we just didn't consider that at all. I thought that was a good question to know now before.
I can answer that, Councilman DeMonico.
Okay.
I prepared an RFQ, spent a lot of time. It was advertised via Mitten. We did not receive a single response, not even a single response. And that's why I sat with my staff. I developed the rate for our department. But only a few portion of the rate, as you see in the rate study, belongs to DPW. The rest are for other departments. For DPW, I sat with our staff. We assessed our actual cost involved in providing that service, and that's how we came up with the rate. Again, this is actually to recover the cost of providing service. We are not here to make a profit whatsoever. This is actually to recover the cost. The city has been subsidizing this service and incurring a loss. So I appraised our city manager and finance director about that one, and then we are only trying to recover our own cost.
Yeah, we understand that, Mr. Abraham, that part. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. We have motion and support. Please call the roll.
All right, I have motion by Curley, supported by DeMonico. Councilperson Curley?
Yes.
Councilperson DeMonico?
Yes.
Councilperson Lucido?
Yes.
Councilperson Moore?
Yes.
Mayor Owens?
Yes. Thank you again, Mr. Abraham. So we're moving right along to introduction and first reading of ordinance number 1206 to amend section 25-525 of the Code of Ordinances regarding fee schedules.
Madam Mayor, I'll motion to introduce and give first reading to ordinance number 1206, which would amend section 2-525 of the Code of Ordinances regarding fee schedules, fee schedule under police.
Any conversation on this, council? Mr. Monaco, you look like you got a question.
I was waiting to hear. I was waiting to hear a second. I didn't know if we just were going to table this item also, since it was a fee schedule.
We could. I just figured I didn't have any questions on the police one, so there was no reason to have a conversation. But if you guys want to, it's up to you.
Yeah, so we can have all the directors talk to us about these fee schedules and why they changed it. We can do item D and E with fee scheduling and table it, and we can do all of it in one session. Mayor Pro Tem, is that okay with you?
Yeah, I mean, that's fine. If I didn't get support on my motion, that's fine.
Okay. So we're going to table items D and E. So I need a motion to table item E.
So moved.
We got motion and support. Call the roll, please.
I'm sorry, I have motion by Mr. DeMonico.
Do I get support? Do I get support? Okay, thank you.
Was that Mr. Curley?
No.
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 Councilwoman Moore.
Councilwoman. All right. Councilperson DeMonico?
Yes.
Councilperson Moore?
Yes.
Councilperson Lucido?
Yes.
Councilperson Curley?
Yes.
Mayor Owens?
Yes. The next item F, the introduction and first reading ordinance number 1207 to amend chapter 38, streets, sidewalks, and other public places of Article 2, streets of the city of Eastpointe, Code of Ordinances. Council. I know Mr. Abraham put this together. Did you want to do it in a brief summary of this? If not, we can move along if we get a motion by council, if we don't have any questions or concerns.
Madam Mayor.
Mayor, actually it is, I suggested it, and then Honorable Richard Albright was behind in making that ordinance revision. I reviewed it, and then I suggested changes, and then thanks to Mr. Albright, then he concurred with those one. Basically, it is authored by him. So Albright, Richard, then you want to talk about that one, or I can talk about that one too. And the reason
I want to know. Go ahead, sir.
Ma'am, the reason why I suggested this one to Mr. Albright was This year, I believe for the first time in the city's history, we have spent a lot of time and effort in sweeping the streets or collecting the leaves from the streets. The streets were full of leaves. Probably the resident must have put it, or it naturally fell from the trees. Either way, the streets were actually covered with the leaves. And then this year, what we have done was we initially deployed a tractor with a push broom to push the leaves to the corner. Then we had a sweeping truck actually to suck all the leaves, actually grind it, and then the equipment actually, it is a piece of equipment that actually vacuums the leaves and then shred it, probably 80:1 to that size. And then we send our 3-wheel mechanical sweeper to sweep the street. And then lastly, for the first time, we used our new vacuum sweeper to sweep the street. Now, all this effort, we spent a lot of time and effort, and unprecedented effort to clean our street. Unfortunately, though we posted the notices, the no park notices, hardly anybody complied with that. Now, the streets, as you know, is only 28 to 31 feet wide. If both cars are parked on either side of the street, and our people are driving pieces of equipment, and then in a narrow area, and the vehicles are parked on the street, and then that defeats the whole purpose of even spending all this time and effort to even sweep the street, because all the streets will be, all the leaves will be under those vehicles. Once they move the vehicle, the leaves will fly all over, and then it is back to square one. So that defeats the whole purpose. And that is the reason why I have requested Mr. Albright to come up with an ordinance revision, and then he authored this document. So I request Mr. Albright to talk further into that one.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you for that summary for the residents to know, and all of council who didn't know. I know me and Mr. Abraham spoke on this already previously to before it was on the agenda. Going back to what I was saying before, we have items on the agenda. Directors as itself should let us know what's about to come up to us so we can research it before we vote on something we have absolutely no information about or done research as council. We need to talk to our directors and research things on our own and have these conversations. So going forward, I know Mr. Albright is on here. Did you have something to say?
Yes, Madam Mayor, thank you. I just wanted to add that Director Rohib has had a chance to review the proposed ordinance. He is in agreement with it. However, he did point out one item that he thought may be problematic in subsection A, where it talks about the placement of the temporary no parking signs, and the proposed ordinance provides that such signs shall be placed by the Department of Public Works and Service in designated areas the day prior to the designated day of maintenance. Director Rohib had suggested perhaps the ordinance language should be amended to have an actual time certain requirement, perhaps 24 hours before the actual maintenance or sweeping is to take place. So that way it would give the residents a minimum of 24 hours of notice to make arrangements to park their cars elsewhere, or that way they're not in violation of the ordinance. It could be any other time. That's just a time period that Director Rohib had sent to me, and so I indicated to him that I would bring up his concern to the council members this evening. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. So that should be added as far as the ordinance, sir?
Yes, it would be a simple change. It would just amend the last sentence of subsection A, where it currently reads temporary quote no parking unquote sign shall be placed by the Department of Public Works and Service in designated areas the day prior to the designated day of maintenance. Director Rohib's suggestion would be to delete the day prior and simply add a specific time provision in there. He was suggesting 24 hours. So at least 24 hours notice in there, as opposed to a day prior, because a day prior could mean sometime less than 24 hours.
Thank you. So can I get a motion for item F with those changes that our attorney added with subsection A, deleting those words that was in there originally to the day prior, from the day prior to 24 hours. Is that correct?
Yes. So it
Okay.
actually, Madam Mayor, it would read temporary, quote, no parking, unquote, signs shall be placed by the Department of Public Works and Services in designated areas at least 24 hours prior to the designated day of maintenance.
Okay, with those changes that Mr. Albright said, I will not know all that by heart, Mr. Albright, but you get it. So with those changes, thank you. With those changes with subsection A, can I get a motion, Council?
Madam Mayor, I have a question on that.
Yes, ma'am.
Is 24 hours enough time to put up a signage to notify someone that there's going to be work in the area?
Councilmember Moore, I'd have to defer to Mr. Abraham on that question, as his department would be the department that is placing the signs and actually doing the work. Mr. Abraham?
Mr. Abraham?
Yeah, ma'am, council ma'am, the 24-hour is going to pose a problem for us because we place the no parking sign the day before. It could be anywhere between 7:30 and then 2:30. And the next day, we send the sweeper at 7 o'clock. So let's say the signs were placed by 2:30. Then if we follow the 24-hour rule, we can start sweeping for the next day only at 2:30. And that defeats the purpose.
So Mr. Abraham, I know when we do the sidewalk fixtures, we send out letters. So we can't do that when we're about to clean certain streets, or would that be too much?
Yeah, that will be laborious, ma'am.
Okay.
Because first of all, then by the time the letter reaches to the resident, it could be 3 days, 4 days. And then if an emergency happens, we won't be able to sweep the street the next day or the day which we stated in the letter. Let's say we are sending a letter to your house saying that we are going to sweep the street on Monday. And then let's say Monday we have a water main break, God forbid, or snowfall. We won't be able to sweep on that day. And then you will call our office and then say, I received a letter and saying that you are going to sweep the street. I removed the car from the street. I incurred this problem, that problem. So we won't be able to answer effectively such questions. So we won't be able to send a letter, ma'am.
Ms. Moore, Councilwoman.
Okay. Yeah. The reason why I asked that is because now it's dark at 5:30. And most of our streets only have street lights at the corners. And if you can't see the sign because it's dark, you may not even notice it until the next day when it's too late. So would it be better to give like a 48-hour notice where the signs are up and say within, the next 2 days we'll be sweeping the streets?
Now, our signs, ma'am, the answer is the signs say no parking, street sweeping tomorrow. So that means in case we do the 48-hour, that means we have to change all the signs saying sweeping day after tomorrow or something like that. We have to throw away all the signs we have. And then secondly, as I said, as of now, we post the signs between the hours of 7:30 in the morning and then 2:30 in the afternoon. So that is enough daylight. And then that means, let's say, there is a chance that by the time the people come back from work, they may be able to see, because we post 3 signs on each side in each block. So these are kind of reflective sign also, and then usually they won't miss it.
Councilwoman Moore, can I throw an idea out?
Yes.
So my wife Alyssa threw out that she's seen signs in Hazel Park that they've got signs on their side street that say no parking like 7 to 4 on Wednesday or whatnot. Wednesday's their garbage day. And then so
Right.
Wednesday they would street sweep. I'm just curious if we thought about something like that. We don't have to worry about doing all these yard signs. If we, obviously we're not going to street sweep every Wednesday, but then we could just street sweep that area of the city Wednesday, just follow the garbage days. Then we don't have to worry about notifying people. We don't have to put these signs out, since I guess they do say tomorrow, I guess, yeah, the 48 hours will be kind of strange then at that point. It just might make it real easy. And then people just, you can't, I know the one issue would be, you can't park on your street 1 day a week, every week. But I figured that'd be, something to get rid of all the work on the DPW just to set it up. And other cities do it, seems to work fine. They put their garbage cans then on the grass or in their driveway, so that then, a street sweeper can just go right down the street, and then the garbage can also, or the garbage truck's not going to hit any cars either if they're parked. I'm sure it's kind of a pain for the garbage trucks to go down the street too when there's a lot of cars parked. So I just thought I'd throw that out there. And it'd just be between 7 and 4, so just during the work days when you couldn't park in the street, I guess.
Councilman, with all due respect, the situation in our city, as you know very well, is entirely different. People are placing the containers and the garbage on the street. So
right.
It will be a monumental task to have all the people to comply with what you have seen elsewhere. And then while placing the containers and the garbage on the street, we cannot sweep the street on the garbage day.
Sure. I mean, I think any of these options, it's going to take a little while for people to catch on. It's easier to go around a garbage can than a whole car. But I figured I'd throw that out there, council. And I just think if we're going to pass this, I'd want to take the towing out. That is excessive for parking on the street for street sweeping, I believe. Maybe a very small parking ticket, or we just ticket people if they've been parked on the street for, I forget if it's 48 or 72 hours straight is, the longest period you can park at a time on the street. But I don't know what anyone else thought.
I think the 24 hours is fair. And I think we want to keep the signs out, because once we delete the signs, then someone say, well, it wasn't no signs out. I can see that happening now. I got a ticket on my car, I didn't see any signs saying you guys were going to street sweep. And then I see the calls and the emails now. So I want to keep the signs out. It makes people aware. People, especially we start something and new people come into the community and they don't know what you just said. People are used to signs. So, as we change our city and change things, that idea is good. But I think, keeping awareness with signs and 24 hours, I think a whole day is long enough to know not to, keep your car on the side just for one day. I think that's fair. But I also think taking the towing out of it is also fair, and giving people a ticket too. I don't think I want to come outside and that's my only vehicle to have to pay $500 to get towing. And that's probably my only car, and I have children and I'm trying to get to work just because I didn't move my car and I didn't see something, or I wasn't aware of it. So I think that's fair. And I thank Councilman for bringing that up, because I agree with that.
Hazel Park has permanent, they do, I mean, we wouldn't be able to do it overnight, but they have permanent signs on the side streets saying which day it is and all that. So you could, see that. That's how they get the word out then, so everybody knows.
And then we make our own signs, if I'm correct. So if we have to make new signs, then that's something in the future we have to do. But we do want to say, we did put time and energy into those signs that we already have, but we have to make a couple additional new signs. We have our own sign maker. That's the best part of having your own in your own city, so we can make our own things. I think someone has something to say. Okay. Yes, yeah.
I'm sorry. I thought you were done. I just had one quick question. What would the fine be if you were parked on the street? So I have a couple concerns with this. First of all, my one concern is, let's say I go on vacation and my son's car is parked on the street and I didn't know about the sign. Like, obviously I didn't know, you know what I'm saying? Like, if there's a snow emergency, like, I know automatically, like, there's a snow emergency, I'm gonna call my neighbor, I'm gonna have him come over, move that car off the street, because I know every time we get a bunch of snow, we can't park on the street. But if we're doing just random days on when we're street sweeping, I think we should definitely put out signs when we're going to street sweep asking people to move. But we're talking about fining and towing cars now. So how much is the fine? Because once again, there's some households that just don't have the ability to pull all their cars off the street. There's some households that might only have a 1 or 2 car driveway. Maybe they have, a teenage son that's driving and has to park on the street, doesn't have room in his driveway. Maybe their neighbor isn't home and they don't want to just, park in their driveway because what if their neighbor comes home and, they can't ask them to park in the driveway. Then what if, then they're stuck. I mean, I understand like the importance for like the safety reasons for a snow emergency, but when it comes to just sweeping, I don't know if I agree with the ordinance. I think definitely we should still put up signs. We make the recommendation. We want to encourage the residents to move their cars off the streets for street sweeping, but I don't know about charging fines or towing cars.
Madam Mayor?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yeah, I agree too. Absolutely, I do not agree with towing a person's car away. And I don't even agree with giving them a ticket, a fine. We don't know how much that would be. It doesn't say in the ordinance how much it would be. I don't know who would make that decision. But, I see the sign when they put it out on my street on Lexington, street sweeping tomorrow from whatever it was, 7 or 8 o'clock. And most of the cars are off the street, not all of them. But no, I am not going to vote for this ordinance.
Maybe we should come back to it because we're back and forth and things like that. And ask our city attorney to look at what other communities are doing. I don't know if you already did that because I know the director just added the 24 hours and we got so many ideas and opinions. I don't know if council wants to come back to this and do more research.
Madam Mayor, what I could do is I could provide ordinances from several of the surrounding communities. So that way the city council can review what other cities have on their code of ordinances and then come back at a future date to discuss this further. I did leave in the proposed ordinance under subsection F, I did leave the amount of the fine subject to city council resolution that would be included in any type of fee schedule that the city council would be able to pass with regard to what the fine would be for this. It could be just a general parking fine, or it could be something specific to this ordinance, Madam Mayor.
And that sounds like another fee schedule issue that we just did on, what's that, I'm sorry, E and F, so, and D. So council, did you want to table this too, so we can get some research on what other cities are doing and other fees, just in case?
Sure, Madam Mayor, I would table this item until such time that our city attorney comes back with some information from other cities and perhaps a recommendation.
Madam Mayor?
Yes.
Yeah, this is the director. How you doing?
Fine, how are you? Thank you for joining us. But we're in the middle of a vote, sir.
Yeah, I just want to real 1 second. The only reason we put this on is because the police department cannot issue traffic tickets for vehicles parked in the street during leaf pickup because we don't have a specific traffic control order for that. That's the only reason this was put on. Now, snow ordinance, that's a different thing. We can write tickets for vehicles parked in the street with the snow because we have a traffic control order and it's enumerated in our ordinance. But for leaf pickup, there's nothing. We cannot enforce it. The only thing we can do is go knock on your door and tell you to move the car, but unfortunately, we don't have the resources for that.
Okay, thank you for joining us. But in the middle of a vote, I have to know that you're here so I can add you so we don't interrupt the vote, Director.
Right.
Okay, well, thank you, because we could have used you in the beginning of this conversation, but since we're going to do a table, that information can be used in our research moving forward.
Okay.
With addition to what the city attorney is going to do. So thank you for coming in tonight.
I tried to interfere, but I couldn't get my word in.
So we have a a motion on the floor to table this in regards to the city attorney doing research with other communities, and also working with the director of public safety and making sure we make the best decision for our residents and when we vote. So do we have support?
Yeah, I'll support that, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, sir. Motion is supported. Please call the roll.
Councilperson Curley,
Yes.
Councilperson DeMonico,
Yes.
Councilperson Lucido,
Yeah.
Councilperson Moore,
Yes.
and Mayor Owens.
Yes, thank you, Director. And
Welcome.
Council as well, and City Attorney, and Mr. Abraham.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving right along, because I think this young lady is here, business owner. Item G, approval of the special land use for My Party Boutique with parking provisions as discussed by Planning Commission. Now, I don't know if the young lady who owns this, she's been working on this for a couple, for a while now. She has a couple businesses in Eastpointe, and I would hate to vote on this without letting her speak, and she's been waiting so long. Is she still on here?
Yes, I'm on.
Hi, I see you're in bed where everybody else want to be.
I'm just sitting here.
Well, you deserve it. You have two businesses. This is now your third business in Eastpointe. I'll be tired too. From me as the mayor of Eastpointe and council and the residents, thank you for investing in our city. And My Party Boutique, if you can give us a quick summary of what this business is and tell us about your first two businesses, please.
Okay, My Party Boutique is a event venue where you can come and have a baby shower, birthday party, dinner party, business meetings, all of sorts of those kinds of things. We offer party rental supplies, like decorations, anything that you would need for your party, we supply that. My other two businesses, I have a hair salon, which I've been in business with Eastpointe for about 7 years now. And I have a children's clothing store that I opened up this July of 2020, which is going good as well.
So Eastpointe residents and council, if you've seen that big, beautiful pink building on 9 Mile that says, is it called S'mores?
Smooches.
Smooches, that's
Smooches.
right. So, you know, it's a beautiful place. I believe I've been to your first building. And when I was a councilwoman, I came in there, and then I came to Smooches and met your dog. It was actually named after her dog. And now she has this one, and both of her businesses are running very well, very professional. When you come in, you're greeted. Everything is nicely done and very professional. So I just say thank you. And we're gonna move right along, and I can't wait till your fourth business comes to Eastpointe. I'm just putting it out there. And anybody else, let them know that Eastpointe is a welcoming city that, you know, would like to see new businesses come here in Eastpointe, and let them know how successful you have been as well. Okay, thank you for waiting. Council.
Madam Mayor, I'll motion to approve the special land use for My Party Boutique with parking provisions as discussed by the Planning Commission.
And second.
Moved and supported. Please call the roll.
Councilperson Lucido,
Yes.
Councilperson Moore,
Yes.
Councilperson DeMonico,
Yes.
Councilperson Curley,
Can hear you, Mr.
Mr. Curley,
Yes.
and Mayor Owens.
Yes, thank you. Thank you again, ma'am. Next item on the agenda is item H, the resurface residential streets with composite pavement. Council. Any questions on this, council? We have our Director of Public Works on here, Mr. Abraham, if you have any questions for him. If not, let's move right along.
Well, Mayor, I just got one comment. I just would make the same comment I've made last time when we talked about doing the asphalt streets. I think we should do a more permanent solution for all of them, reconstruction, especially since the PACER ratings are even lower. We should reconstruct. I know, of course, we can't do the same amount of street at that time, but that is just what I believe. to be the right thing. And, I could just cite the MDOT documentation again. If it's a Pacer 1, which 2 of these sections are, MDOT suggests it's failed, it needs total reconstruction. And if it's a 2, which is most of the rest, there's 1 section that's a 3, but 2s are severe deterioration, need reconstruction with extensive base repair, pulverization of old pavements effective. So personally, I'm just going to stick with what we're doing. I think we should just do reconstruction and not resurfacing of these streets.
In that regard, I always agree with reconstruction, Councilman, but if you can tell us where we get this money at for reconstruction, I'm with you.
Madam Mayor?
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I have to kind of agree with Councilman DeMonico, especially, he's like this, what he's proposing isn't even like the asphalt that we poured on the other streets where we did the whole street. He's just picking the worst sections. And I don't think that these streets have already been done with asphalt once. So that the underlay, it's been a long time since they've been reconstructed, because I believe when I was originally looking at old asphalt streets, I was told some of those streets I think were done in like the 80s with the asphalt. So the underneath was probably 30 years older than that. So it's probably done in the 50s. So I don't think that I could approve going ahead with this either.
Mr. Abraham, are you there? Did he leave us?
No, he's there.
I think he might be.
Abraham. Oh.
Yes, ma'am. Madam Mayor, respected council, this proposal before you is asking for your authorization to advertise for bids to resurface these 5 streets or 6 streets that are in very, very bad shape, as you might have seen, and to do skin patching of 2 other streets. Now, 4 times before this, I came before the council to make presentation regarding the resurfacing of the streets we have done this year. I repeatedly said reconstruction is a better option. I would have recommended and proceeded with reconstruction if we had enough funds to reconstruct these streets. With the money we plan to spend to resurface these 5 streets, that is approximately 1.4 million. It is an estimated cost for 5 streets, and to skin patch the other 2 streets, that is 1.4 million. We cannot do even 1 street, that Ash Avenue, Kelly to Beaconsfield, with that 1.4 million. So the residents on the other 6 streets have to wait probably under 5 years, 10 years, 15 years to get their streets resurfaced. And then if for resurfacing, you will notice that it would be unconscionable to tell those residents, shut up and then keep quiet and wait for another 15 or 20 years until we come up with money to reconstruct. When we don't have money to fix the roof of a building, then how we can go and then buy another building? We have to fix this problem first. I am all in agreement that reconstruction is the best option, but reconstruct this residential street 1 mile will cost at least $3 million. And we are trying to do that reasonably until we can come up with money to reconstruct all the streets. And then with respect to the comments from council person Lucido, that is the reason why we have done extensive base repair. That's why I came before the council to get approval for that change order. So when we milled the streets, we found that the base was deteriorated in certain segments. All those segments which was deteriorated, we excavated that bad section, and then we poured or we laid asphalt on top of that new concrete to make it good. We did not pour asphalt on bad surface. So that's what called base repair. Whenever after we mill the street, we will know what condition it is. If the base is bad, we repair that before we place asphalt. That is why I confidently said repeatedly, even today, that these streets will last at least 25 years, at least 25 years. The street failed because
Mr. Abrams, can
in the
I
past,
interrupt you really
somebody
quick?
did asphalt. Yes, ma'am.
Go ahead, Ms. Lucido.
Okay, so no, I understand what you're saying, but in this proposal that we got this time, and maybe I'm mistaken, it doesn't talk about base repair. It says about you milling off the 2 inches of asphalt. This is not, maybe it's just written different. I mean, that's why I don't understand it than when we did the other 4 streets that we just finished. So yeah, that did not even talk about doing base repairs in this proposal that we received. At least that's not what I read. It just talked about you milling off the 2 inches of bad asphalt.
Ma'am, that is only for the 2 streets that I proposed for and Tepper. You will see only small sections of that street that has bleeding and rutting and raveling. The majority of that entire pavement is in reasonably good shape. I'm not saying it is in excellent shape, but it is in reasonably good shape. So if we remove the bad asphalt, cut 2 inches and then put hot mix asphalt on top and then roll it, instead of resurfacing the whole street, we are doing a quick fix approach. That is the 2 inches asphalt is only on Juliana, Ego, Juliana, Warrington, and Wilmot. We are doing the same thing as we have done this year, ma'am.
Okay.
I just know one thing. I get a lot of compliments. I can say one thing. I have a lot of compliments about the city of Eastpointe having great streets. It's not all the bad roads aren't bad and things like that. And I want to keep that image up as best that I can. And these streets are, somewhat bad. That and if we're able to do something, because Mr. Abraham, you're saying if we do 1 street, it's $3 million. If we do all 5, just resurfacing is 1.4. Correct? Is that?
That is an estimated cost, ma'am.
Estimate.
The last time you may remember, Mr. Peng first those 4 streets, the bid actually came at $682,000. So this time they came up with this estimate of 1.4 million. So it could be much lower than that. We don't know at this time. Again, it is only an estimate.
Before I ask my next question, I'm gonna let Councilman Moore go. I think she had a question. Councilwoman Moore.
So yeah, so this is my first round with this resurfacing. So Mr. Abraham, am I to understand that when we start the process of doing this, if you encounter more bad patches than the 2 inches, that you would address that separately at that time and do more of a dig to get the old rotted asphalt out of that area?
Yes, ma'am. First of all, for the first 5 streets, that is Ash, Ego, Juliana, Warrington, and Wilmot, we remove the entire width of the street with the old asphalt. We mill 2 inches, and then once we mill the street, we will know whether the base needs any repair, whether it is deteriorated. If it is deteriorated, we put concrete and then put new concrete over there and then put asphalt. Yes, to answer your question, yes, we fix the bad sections and then only we will put the asphalt on top.
Okay, thank you.
When was the last time those 5 streets were reconstructed? And if they wasn't reconstructed, and they were reconstructed and then they were resurfaced, when was the last time it was resurfaced or reconstructed, and how long did that last? Do you know that right now, or?
Not offhand, ma'am. I believe okay. These streets could have been reconstructed somewhere in the later, 80s, or it seems like it is in the 80s or early 90s. It is that bad.
Okay, because I would like to see that if we do this tonight, the ones that we have resurfaced earlier this year and this one, are they gonna be first up for reconstruction after so many years? Because I don't want them to continuously get resurfaced over and over. You gotta have a list of the ones that was resurfaced 5 or 10 years ago, and saying when it's time for reconstruction, when we do have this money, those would be priority streets because they haven't been reconstructed in so many years. Is that how you guys do that? Mr. Abraham?
Ma'am, we have several other concrete streets that are in bad shape. Those need to be reconstructed. It is not I won't propose to put asphalt on top of those concrete streets. There are so many, for example, Mott Street. It is, the pavement is really undulated. And then you won't be able to drive on that street for more than 5 miles an hour. It is that bad. So there are some streets that I will not propose to resurface. I will propose.
Okay. So at some streets you
to reconstruct. And yes, that is a small segment. When I have only $10, how can I afford to spend $1 million? That is the position we are in.
Right.
If I have 1 million, yes, I will do the reconstruction. But I have only $100 with me. That is a position.
Understood. So we have on the floor right now to resurface residential streets with composite pavement for these 5 streets. So council, you have a motion to resurface these streets tonight. I guess the motion dies. So hopefully you can give us some more information. I personally would have wanted these to get fixed. Due to the winter coming up, these, when winter months come up, and I believe it's gonna be a bad winter, and we do these plowing, the streets get worse. So moving right along, good job, Mr. Abraham. Let's keep working on trying to get these streets fixed. Next item on the agenda is appointment to Planning Commission. Council.
Sure, Mayor, I had put this on the agenda. I don't think it says that in the packet, I realized.
Okay.
I put Ms. Kimberly Naylor on the agenda to be appointed to the Planning Commission. I'd met her at previous council meetings before when we actually were in person, and I think she'd do great on the commission. Like Ms. Moore, who we lost on the Planning Commission, she's got some building experience. Not that I think that is a requirement, but I think it'd be good to fill someone similar in on the commission so that they could share that experience. And just in general, I think she would make great decisions on the board. And just in general, I think she'd be a positive asset for the commission, and that's why I put this on the agenda.
Great. Can I get support on that, council?
I would support that, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Ms. Naylor, also for being a part of, the commission as well. And good evening tonight and happy holidays. We have a motion on the floor in support. Please call the roll.
Councilperson DeMonico,
Yes.
Councilperson Curley,
Yes.
Mayor Owens,
Yes.
Councilperson Lucido,
Yes.
and Councilperson Moore.
Yes.
Next item is item J, the discussion and possible motion on Eastpointe resolution calling for the Michigan legislature to support proportional representation via ranked choice voting. And this was brought up by, I believe, Councilman DeMonico. You have the floor, Councilman.
Yes, Mayor, I did add this to the agenda also. And I would just like to back up a little bit, I guess, at first. Of course, everybody on here knows that Eastpointe does ranked choice voting, but way back when we first started with the Department of Justice, they had originally proposed us going to districts. And of course, then, over 2 years, we had lots of discussions with them, and then essentially came to the compromise of ranked choice voting, which I think actually is positive. I think a win-win. I think it did what the Department of Justice wanted to do, and I think it is a better system to elect people than just the regular system that we do, where it's just a plurality system where just if you have 10 people that all get 10% of the vote, one of them is going to get like 11%, that person wins with just 11% support of the community. So with ranked choice voting, I think the most positive things are, and this is why I put this forward since we're doing it. The city of Ferndale has passed it into their charter, but they're not able to do it because the state law does not allow it. We're only able to do it because of the consent decree, the federal consent decree with the U.S. Department of Justice. But I think it elects people that have a majority support of the community. Easily in elections where there's 3 or more people, you can have a situation where the winners don't have a majority support. But with how ranked choice voting works, you're going to get candidates that have a majority support, and it's proportional. So with Eastpointe, we only have 2 people up at a time, but if there's like, townships or whatnot, a lot of them elect them all at the same time. So if you have 4 trustees all up at once, it's more proportional and more reflects the community. Also, it's more positive campaigning. I think a lot of people would like to see that for sure, because, if Harvey and I both knock on your door, we're, you like us both, and you could put me 1 and him 2. You don't have to like pick between us, or probably Harvey 1, me 2. And you can do it that way. It's not either you can only pick Harvey or only pick me, or only pick Sarah, or, only pick Sylvia. You can rank everyone. So then it gets away from negative campaigning typically. So with those different ideas in mind, that's why I wanted to bring this forward. And it wasn't a resolution to require anyone to use ranked choice voting. And even in Eastpointe, unless Rich jumps in, I think even, so if our consent decree, which will expire in the middle of 2022, because it was 4 years long, we would have to, as a city, allow ranked choice voting to continue after that point. So the city would have to choose it if state law allowed it. So nobody would be forced to do ranked choice voting with this resolution. I just thought, because I like ranked choice voting, we could just suggest to the legislature that they allow communities to adopt it if they would like. So the community would have to vote on it, and it'd be a charter change for all the different communities. And that's why I was bringing it forward. So it'd be an option. No communities would be forced to, but since we've already been in the weeds on this, I thought it'd be nice to show some support, of course, if the council's interested.
Madam Mayor?
Yes, sir.
This is going to be a long discussion. I had talked to Cardi before, and we're on the opposite side of the opinion. I don't like ranked voting. But let me say it. So, Madam Mayor, forgive me at first, because I'm going to probably talk longer than I normally do. But when we put something on the agenda for discussion, it's usually something that's brought up brand new. And when we put discussion and possible
motion,
that kind of bothers me. But that's beside the point. If we're going to discuss it, let's discuss it. My first question would be, if this, and I don't know, maybe our assistant city manager can answer this question. But Brandon, was there not 4,000 people in the November election who did not vote for the council? Approximately 4,000 people.
There were approximately 4,000 people that that requested a ballot that did not vote in the ranked choice section.
Okay.
However, I will say, Mr. Curley, that that's not necessarily that uncommon for people to vote for the presidential race and to.
All right. So there's one opinion. They didn't vote for the council because they don't vote for council, but they'll vote for the president. Maybe that's right. I don't know. But all I know is there's 4,000 people who ran for council, they didn't vote for it. We go with ranked choice next year. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm trying to get this out of my head. Next year is our last requirement from the DOJ when they put their foot down on our neck and force us to do this. So is not next year the last year that we are required by the DOJ to have ranked voting, Brandon? Is that true?
So the consent decree says 4 years, so November of 21 would be the last regularly scheduled election. However, elections that fall, maybe potential special elections later that year would still be held under a ranked choice voting format. At least that is my understanding. I would defer to legal counsel if he's under some other interpretation of that.
Okay, only if I'm wrong, Rich. If I'm wrong, you can speak up, but if I'm right, just nod your head.
Okay.
So next year is the last year. And so Cardi, what I'm hearing from you, my friend, is that the next election would be 2023. That's when Sarah would be up, I would be up, and the mayor would be up. We are not under the DOJ's edict. That's correct. And Cardi, are you saying that we could not keep ranked voting unless the state changes their rules? Is that correct?
Right now, again, Rich, jump in if you think I say anything wrong. Right now, I believe when the consent decree ends, which I think is June or July 2022, somewhere around there, at that point, state law doesn't allow anyone to utilize ranked choice voting. So yeah, we would just go back to our normal elections, and the city couldn't even choose to use ranked choice voting, even if we wanted to at that point.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Cardi. A couple things. This suggestion that we got from the state rep, his thing has 13 whereases. And I know the public who's watching right now hasn't had a chance to read the whereases, but if the city's going to do this, and you know I might be in the minority even when we finally do vote on this, but having his language with these 13 whereases, they're pretty severe, I think. I think that Eastpointe's smart enough to write our own whereases and send it to the state. I don't think we. That's just, in my opinion, I think that's way too much. I think that's overkill when he had 13 whereases. That's all.
Councilman Curley.
Yeah, go ahead.
Not that I probably want to admit it at this point with your comments, but the resolution was not written by that state representative. I was just trying to give some background. I didn't write it from scratch myself either. I used a template from a group called More Equitable Democracy that I was provided, and then I added a couple whereases in. I left some of them in here, and I do realize there are a lot of, because a good thing about ranked choice voting is that it's supposed to make it so that elections are more representative of your community, right? 51% of the community can't win all of the seats then, you know, it's proportional representation. So a lot of these whereas clause are based around, you know, race and minority populations. And so we can definitely, you know, that's why I wanted to bring it up for discussion. We can change the clauses to anything. I think personally just would be interested in showing our support for ranked choice in general. If we want to strike all these items and just do like 2 whereas clauses or something, that's fine with me. But I just wanted to make sure it wasn't the state representative I mentioned here, State Representative Robbie. He is the one who sponsored the current bill that's in the legislature to adopt ranked choice voting.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Councilwoman.
I'll yield the floor to Sarah.
Thank you. Councilwoman.
So I read over this and I agree with Mr. Curley, but I also agree with Mr. DeMonico. I'm not necessarily a fan of ranked choice voting, but everyone has a right to their opinion. And I think that if we were to continue with the implementation of ranked choice voting, it should be because the majority of the residents in the city of Eastpointe want to continue with ranked choice voting. So I would always support, if the residents voted on it and wanted to keep ranked choice voting, I would support that decision. So with that said, with this resolution, my only thing that, and maybe once again, my Rich might need to correct me. It's where it says, whereas the city of Eastpointe will be forced to return to a winner-take-all elections after the expiration of 4 years consent decree with the United States Department of Justice. That's the only paragraph I would scratch, because I don't want anyone to get the idea that we would be able to continue with it because the residents never voted on it. So I do think either way, we should have to go back to the regular way. And if we were to decide going with ranked choice voting, that it should be because it's a vote of the people, not because we're making that decision as a council to move forward with it. So other than that, I would be fine with supporting the resolution. I'm not 100% supportive of that one whereas.
Okay, Madam Mayor, may I
Back to
continue?
you. Yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. And I'm sorry, Madam Mayor. Thank you for bringing that up, Sarah. I guess my next comment, guys, is we're writing this resolution according to this state rep to encourage all the other cities in the state to do the same thing. And what, to me, again, it's only my opinion, where do we have the right to tell all the cities, and how many cities are there in the state? Hundreds. By writing this resolution the way he wants us to write it, is that we're encouraging all the cities in the state of Michigan to do what we do. But Sarah, you got a good point, and I'll fill this out. Can't we put this on the election in 2021 with the question, do you support ranked voting? 2020 next year. That still would give us time if they voted yes to do this. And you all know, come on. He even says that this is still in committee, and because of the new people who just selected, they're going to have to start all over. And if you know anything about Lansing, the people up there in the House and the Senate aren't going to pass this thing in the next year. So I don't know why we're in such a hurry to put ourselves out there supporting ranked voting when we don't even know what the citizens want. So I would think it would be, neat if we put it on the ballot in 2021. And very simple question, and Rich would write up the language, of course. But do you support ranked voting? I think, and I honest to goodness think it's not going to pass. I believe. I'm sorry, Cardi, but I believe that.
Madam Mayor?
Yes, ma'am. Councilwoman Moore?
I would like to take a vote on this tonight.
Okay, what's
I
your
would recommend a motion.
thoughts?
I would recommend a motion to approve the introduction and passage of the Eastpointe resolution calling for the Michigan legislature to support proportional representation via ranked choice voting.
I will support that.
The discussion on here, I'm going to tell you why I don't support this. Listening to my colleagues and the residents who didn't like it. I didn't like it. I was a part of many people was a part of the Department of Justice, and I read a lot of what happened and the reasoning, and a lot of the reasoning of why they wanted districts. I understood it. I was a part of it, and I understood why they brought ranked choice voting. I don't think ranked choice voting was the best option, but I think it was a better option than districting. But I think it didn't help with making things fair. And I think it came for a reason, because in the past, Eastpointe didn't do what they're supposed to do to make it fair for minorities and other people to be at the table. So I will be voting on this. And
Madam Mayor?
Yes, sir.
I'm not done yet. And Sylvia, that's fine. Don't worry about it. So let me ask this question, and Rich, maybe you can answer it. This voting on this resolution, am I right or wrong, does not commit ourselves in any way to continue ranked voting in 2023.
That's correct.
So what we're doing is telling all this other cities in the state that we love it and we think it's really swell, and that we would encourage the House and the Senate to pass a resolution up there that would allow states if they want to, or cities if they want to go to rank voting. Am I correct?
Correct.
All right, I think I'm exhausted, Madam Mayor.
Yeah, I didn't
done.
have to use, I didn't use ranked choice voting being elected as mayor. And the reason why I was glad I didn't, because I wanted to hear the people. I wanted everybody to be able to have a voice in who they chose as mayor. And as a councilwoman, I wanted everybody to have a choice in who they wanted as their mayor overall, as a city, not a district based on a class of people, not a district based on a race of people. Everybody, I wanted everybody at the table to choose who they wanted to run their city. And so I don't agree with ranked choice voting because I feel like it's just, it just didn't do what I feel like it should have done. And I believe we shouldn't try to use a system to create equality when we can do that ourselves. And I think my election showed that. And so we have so moving right along, because I don't want to stay too long on this. We have a motion on the floor and we have support. Go ahead, sir.
Madam, I got one more thing. Does a motion indicate that we're going to do the suggestion that this fella says that, in fact, he said, I suggest that we, and I don't know where he got the word we, he's not part of this council, that we send the resolution to the county commissioner for her support. Are we going to do that? Is that part of the motion that we're actually going to send this resolution to Veronica Kleinfeld? And why would we do that?
If it passes, we will. If it doesn't pass, it won't.
Why would we send her one? She's a county commissioner.
Can I address that?
Of course.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's Courtney.
Okay.
I love you.
So first, I did not talk to the state representative. He proposed a bill in the legislature for ranked choice voting. It was introduced in committee in like January 2019. I found it on the legislature's website. I did not talk to him. None of these comments on, you're not gonna, maybe you can see it a little bit on my window there. None of these comments are from him. These are all my comments. The comments on the council action summary sheet, I wrote that. The actual resolution, I started from a template and then modified it a little bit. I just wanted to clear that up, but I figured it was important to send to Commissioner Kleinfeld, since we are in her district, and maybe the Board of Commissioners would also want to support a community in the county that was interested, of course, if the resolution did pass, that was interested in doing ranked choice voting. So that's why I suggested it. And then also I mentioned the governor just created a Black Leadership Advisory Council. I thought it would be good to send off to them someone that has an ear of the governor also. And I know that a resident from Warren's on that commission nearby that I know. So that was all. That's why I threw that in there. That would just be, Ms. Doom can just send it off to them if it was passed, and that was all. And so, well, I was gonna say, Mayor Pro Tem, I know you probably have some comments. I supported Ms. Moore's motion, of course, because I put it on the agenda. I definitely, it seems like definitely it's depending on you at this moment. But I don't want you to sign anything that you're not interested in signing. And I know, if you want to strike just a couple where clauses or change them, I'd be open to that at least. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Mr. Curley, I'm sorry.
No, you go ahead.
Like I said, I know Ms. Moore already made the motion, and that's fine. And I'm gonna vote no on the probably also because like I said, I don't like the paragraph where it said, about Eastpointe being, forced to return to winner take all elections, because I don't want it out there to think that, we're gonna have, if they pass this, it will be able to keep it, because the residents never had the opportunity to vote on it. So, with that clause in there, like I said, I have to vote no also. So, we can keep talking about this, or we can just do the roll call.
Okay,
Let's do the roll call. Let's go ahead.
Madam Mayor, I call for the motion.
What if we
Councilman DeMonico, you want to speak more on this? Because I think we're ready for a vote.
I was just gonna, we could amend that, Mayor Pro Tem Lucido.
If Ms. Moore wants to amend it, I mean, that's her decision. She's the one that made the motion.
Yeah, we can make an amendment motion. You know, I could motion we just, I guess, strike that clause. And then if there's support, it would amend our primary motion. If
Okay, I'm not going to amend anything, but Madam Mayor, I would just hope that when our administration sends this out, that for one, I don't want the people to think it was a 5-0 vote. I want to protect my rights as I protect your rights. The people are going to vote yes, but I want to protect my rights and let the people know this was not a 5-0 vote.
Okay, now Ms. Moore, you made the motion to support it. Now, what are you thinking? What are your thoughts?
Well, my thoughts are that there are clauses in here that needs to be changed with whereases. I say we give it more thought. I changed my recommendation and give it more thought.
I'll agree with that
So
too.
I'm pulling my motion back. I'm pulling my motion back.
Okay, she draws her motion from the original motion. Now, Mr.
Yeah.
Monaco, you put it on the floor. You created it. Do you want to make this motion and see where it goes?
More, you just want to, I can just suggest we table it till next meeting and we can talk about it between now and then.
Yes, I suggest that we table it until next meeting.
Okay.
Okay, I'm going to support that. Carter, I got an interesting question for you. He said we can table it until the next meeting and maybe we can talk about it before then. How are we going to do that? You and I going to have a cup of coffee or what? I mean, how are we going to talk?
You've been trying to get me.
You trying to get me to buy you a cup of coffee? No.
I have for a long time.
Sounds that way.
Well, I do want to specify we means one-on-one outside of this. Of course, I will not be communicating more than one-on-one with anybody about it. But that's all. And on the phone or on Zoom, I'm not coming to your house, Harvey, right now. We got COVID.
No, you can't come to my house.
Okay, moving right along.
Right. Oh, so we motion to support, to table this?
Yeah, was there a vote?
Support.
Okay, okay, I just wanted to make sure.
Okay, motion.
Support or not.
Right, motion by Mr. Councilman DeMonico to table it, supported by Councilwoman Moore. Let's call the roll.
Councilperson DeMonico,
Yes.
Councilperson Moore,
Yes.
Councilperson Lucido,
Yes.
Councilperson Curley,
Yes.
Mayor Owens.
Yes, next item is discussion on unused educational costs brought by Councilwoman Moore. She wants to add this to the agenda. Ms. Moore, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Yes, ma'am.
As a new council person and one who is always seeking education that will help the community and help my fellow residents, I was wondering and asking some questions about the money that we are allocated to be educated through being a city council person. And when I came on, I noticed that the last city councilman hadn't spent any of the money that he was allocated. And I understand that we are in COVID right now. So my thing is, are we able to, as the same thing, like it would have no financial impact if we were able to utilize the money that was not being used by the end of the year per council person or per mayor, the money that's allocated to be used. If that person is not utilizing it, could we transfer it to another person that would like to utilize it before the end of the year, fiscal year? And that's something that I wanted to bring to the table.
Sure, Mayor, I could comment on that if.
Councilman DeMonico.
I think with right now how we have this written, it would just be everybody can either use their money or don't use it. I mean, if somebody wants to donate their portion to you, Councilman Moore, I don't see any problem with that as long as we just stick within those guidelines. I guess that's my view. I think we were looking at putting a policy together in the past that made it a little more specific about what we were doing. We never passed one. So I think right now it's just generally we're allocated what's on that document that was sent to us. But I can't see anything wrong. I don't know if anyone disagrees with using a portion of someone else's funds if needed.
Anybody else want to comment? I mean, if you want to use my funds for education to better serve the city, I think that's a plus. A lot of people who run, over a city, a lot of residents respect the people who's running their city with their tax money, dealing with millions and millions of dollars to be educated in different things like planning, real estate, and things like that. And sometimes it costs money. And if I have to give up, my funds and I'm not using it, I don't have any problem with giving it to a council member for conferences, educational costs, and whatever to better utilize it if I'm not utilizing it for that budget year. So, council, if you have any education that you want to better yourself in certain areas for the city, I know Mr. DeMonico does a lot of things, and Lucido and Curley and Councilwoman Moore, she does a lot of stuff in building and things like that. It's a lot of classes that you guys might want to use. And if I have the funds left and I'm not using it, you guys are welcome to it. Councilman Curley? Yes.
Thank you. Absolutely. There's no carryovers from one year to the next. You can't collect whatever we get every year and end up with $10,000. So if I don't use it and I know I'm not going to use it, and you have a conference that you want to go to that would increase your knowledge, I would never have a problem with that, Sylvia.
Likewise.
Madam Mayor.
So how would we write some, I'm sorry.
What was that? Say, Madam Mayor, I heard
Chair.
Moment.
Oh, Ms. Holman, where you come from? Yes, yeah.
Important as it relates to the recertification process for redevelopment ready communities, because one of the requirements is the training and educational programs for council and for also the planning commission and ZBA as it relates to redevelopment. So it would be great if we have some things coming up. So we have some scholarships, but we also have some citizen planner seminars that would have some fees. So it would be great if, again, those costs could be covered. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Ms. Doom, do you have any history on council giving their funds or any staffing in your experience with sharing the cost of education with funds not being used, Ms. Doom?
Not so much in the way of being donated. However, when council members come forward and they need additional training and it goes beyond their budget, they often bring it before the council, and council will listen to what their training is about, if it's helpful, and would allocate additional funds. But this is, it really is about the same way. It's taking from one basket to another. So I don't see an issue with what's been brought up at all. It's just I typically see where council will approve additional expenditures for typically, new council members really want a lot of training. And so as Ms. Holman mentioned, there's a citizen planner class coming up through Macomb County, and there's new election, elected officials training that's available. It's going to be online. So Ms. Moore could very quickly go through her budget that first year, just trying to get herself up to speed as much as she can. But if the council is amenable to simply donating their unused hours, their funding for that, that certainly would take care of any additional training, because it is, as you know, most of it comes in your first year or two being on council, as you're trying to learn as much as you can.
Should we put a motion to? Go ahead, Councilwoman. Yes, ma'am.
I agree with what Ms. Zoom just said, actually. I mean, I'm not saying that you guys, we have extra money not to give it to someone else who wants to use the funding. but I like the idea of just coming to council for more funding or an increase in that person's budget. And the only reason why I say that is because, let's say, Mayor, you donate you have $1,000 left and you donate it to me, right? There's 3 months left in the budget, so you're like, I don't think I'm going to use this here. You can go use it. Then what happens if something does come up that you want to take? You know what I'm saying? And right. So why, I mean, I would have, I support education. If any of you guys came forward and said, I want to take this class and I don't have enough money left in my budget, I would probably approve it. And we normally we don't always use all of our budget. None of us do. You know what I'm saying? Like Ms. Doom said, Ms. Moore will probably spend the most because it's her first year. So I think just when she gets close to the end, if she just came to us and said, can I get another, because I want to take these classes, I think that would be, just because for one, I think it'd be cleaner.
Well, if we did, I don't know, Ms. Moore, what if we did a motion just saying, if by the end of the budget, if you have unused funding to, distribute it to whatever is left or something like that. I don't know. Because if I have almost $2,000 left and you need the money and it's almost time, how did you want to do that, Councilwoman
Well,
Moore?
I'm looking at it kind of sort of, Madam Mayor, the way that we just went over a resolution for the MERS. There was money left in the pot, and before it goes back to wherever it goes, we decided, okay, fine, let's divvy up this money where it could be best used. So with not adding any extra financial burden to the city of Eastpointe, my suggestion is that if money is left over, it could be put in a pot, maybe within 30 days of it going back, that it could be allocated to someone who is going to school. Because the money has already been allocated for education.
So you saying, Mr. Albright, how would that be written in a motion? So what you're saying is, within 30 days, if you haven't used your unused funding, to have it distributed to a council person who may need it, or?
Only within 30 days of the budget being at the end of the budget year. So if we get down to 11 months and the money is still in the pot, we know in that 12th month, it's gonna go back to wherever. Within that 30-day period that it can be allocated to someone. Because like Sarah said, yeah, someone can, 3 months in say, yeah, I decided to go to school or take this class that will help to further the people of Eastpointe with me having the knowledge of and bringing that knowledge to them. But within 30 days of it going back, a person should know by then if they're going to take a class that will, help the community.
Miss
Lucido?
Well, I mean, these classes aren't always offered. So, I mean, it's hard to say. And a lot of times you have to register more than 30 days in advance of the class even being offered. I don't know. I mean, it doesn't matter to me. It just, there's no request for a motion tonight. It was just a discussion anyway.
Correct.
Councilwoman Moore, can I just ask a real, I think, practical question or backup here? So is there something between now and June that you're looking to go to? Typically, we do things from the Michigan Municipal League, MML, or SEMCOG, the Southeast Michigan Coalition of Governments. We cover that, and then there's a couple other groups we've gone to, like annual meetings and things like that have been covered. But if you say June 30 hits, July 1, you'll have the 1,500 again for the next year. Any money we don't use, it stays in like the rainy day fund of the general fund. The city gets to keep it. We just allocate 1,500 a year. If nobody uses it, we just keep it. And then the next year you get 1,500 again. But every July 1, it just resets to 1,500 or 1,725 for the mayor is what we have set right now, if we don't change anything. Of course, every budget cycle we can change that to what we'd like.
Councilwoman Moore.
Was that a question?
Oh, so is there something between now and June 30th that you were looking to go to for a program or something?
I'm going to do my research during Christmas time out. So,
Okay.
yeah, I'll get back with you on that.
Okay. I was just curious. So yeah, because I think Mayor Pro Tem, I think you were hinting at, we talked about maybe putting a certain organizations in that we would just allow basically any training from those organizations, like if MML holds anything or SEMCOG holds anything. Otherwise, I think this was part of, I think, an agenda item. I don't know if Ms. Doom, if you can find it, or I could maybe find it. We had something on the agenda before that we proposed. We never voted on it or anything. I think we discussed briefly, but we had some different points to kind of have guidelines for training so that we were all on the same page, I guess, essentially.
Right. And my whole thing is that, like, if Miss Moore does, like you said, if she has something that she's interested in, like over Christmas break, why would she have to wait until May, the end of May or beginning of June to register for it, because the budget ends at the end of June? You know what I'm saying? Why not let her take the class in April? Maybe she has less going on, instead of her having to wait to the end to take the class, and then we can just approve her to have the extra funds if that's the case. I mean, that's the way I look at it. Why wait till the end? And
well, it wouldn't necessarily be waiting. I'm sorry, go on.
I mean, you know what I'm saying? Because that way, then we want to we don't want you to only take a class because we have extra money in our budget the last 30 days. If you want to take that class, I would rather you just go and take that class, even if you've already used up all your funds. And I'd rather just approve it on that kind of basis.
I understand. I was just asking because, like I said, once again, we transferred money today from one account that it was allocated for because it was left over, and we transferred it somewhere else. So why could we not do that when it comes to the education allotment that we have? Why could we not do the same?
I'm not saying that we can't. I'm just saying that it seems like it would be easier for council if we just borrowed the money from the general fund at that time, and then everyone else's money that was left over would just replace it after the rollover of budget.
Are you talking about reimbursement, Miss?
Yeah.
So
what I'm saying is this we could just, if she wanted an increase in education, she gets 1,500, let's say she needs another 500, we could approve that in April instead of waiting till 30-day period. We could approve that in April if she wanted it. You know what I'm saying? And then the money's just going to it all comes out of the general fund.
So I guess what she's saying is, if we were sitting here today saying, if I have almost $2,000 left, I mean, it's going to be a reimbursement regardless, but if she spent all her $1,500 and I have $2,000 left, which I almost do, and I'm not using it, and I'm saying right here that she can take that out of my funding and I'll let the director of finance know that she can take $500 out of my money to do that, because sometimes these schools want you to pay up front, and a lot of people don't have that. So if we have money sitting there.
I'm not saying we shouldn't give her the money. I'm just saying the way we're allocating the money is.
I guess she's trying to say.
Well, I would like to hear Mr. Blum's opinion on it, actually, because he's the one that's gonna have to deal with all of it. So,
Mr. Blum, are you still there?
Oh yeah, I'll be here all night. Yeah, my attitude is, as long as you don't spend in total more than was budgeted, I don't care who spends it. I mean, the breakdown by individual was done to kind of give people an idea of what was available to them. But I mean, there's a total budget for council training, whether it's split 5 ways or one person spends it all. It doesn't make any difference to me, as long as we don't overspend that line item.
And then when we overspend the amount of all of us, then that's when we should come back and say, hey, I spent ceremony, parties, and I need $500 more or whatever that may be. Then, and then we might have to even do a budget increase on education if you're having problems with that funding for your education.
Correct.
Because I think the planning class that Ms. Holman was talking about, that's almost $400 in itself. And I was thinking about taking that class, but I think I talked to you, Mr. Blum, about taking that class. And I think certain people help pay for those things. and do scholarships. So I'm going to ask someone to pay for that through a scholarship, so I don't have to use my funds. And I'm also always researching different ways that council don't have to use the budgeted money for educational programs. But if we have to, the money's there, like Director said. And again, you have my permission to, if we have the funding and it's budgeted and I'm not using it, and Ms. Moore wants to use it for more education and planning, zoning, or our planning and economics, or whatever she may choose, or whatever council may choose, she's welcome to that. Any other discussion?
Well, there are also, I'm sorry, Madam Mayor, I'm sorry.
Go ahead, ma'am.
There are also courses that come up that only have so many slots. And if you don't fulfill that slot by a certain time, then you don't get into that certain course. And it may be that something comes up that the course may fill up within a week. And some courses don't fill up within a month. And even though it may be further down the road, if it's something that fills up within a week and it's not a city council meeting at that time, and we have to wait for a city council meeting to come up to get it approved, if there's extra additional money in the pot, then that means that a person would not be able to go attend that class, because they would have to wait for a city council meeting to get their approval first, to get the extra additional money that's needed to take the class, but the class is already built and closed. So it just makes it an easier transition if the money could, if a person knew that they wasn't going to use a certain part of their money that was issued, to be able to, you know, be transferred over to someone else who need to pull the trigger really quick on getting into a class.
Sounds good. Well, I think you have support. I know we're not doing the motion right now, but support from Kari DeMonico, myself, and Curley, and also Ms. Lucido, but I think she wanted to do it a certain way. But if we're not using the money, and in the last couple years I've been here, I haven't seen too many council, we go to conferences, I haven't seen too many council members utilizing the educational costs. And I also disagree with telling someone where to get their education and putting that in a policy and telling someone where they should get education from MML in certain areas. I don't agree with that. You're limiting people and putting people in the box on where they should get their education. And so I don't think we should control where people get their education when they're going to the class and they're the ones doing the work to better their community. It's several people that we work with. Macomb Community College has several different programs. Michigan State University that works with us and certain things as the planning and, you know, deal with Habitat for Humanity. We have so many different programs, but to limit it to just MML, even though we pay them to be in the membership, some of those classes should be discounted and free. We pay for MML. So we shouldn't just automatically pay them. Again, double, it's like you keep paying the same people. We have other people that we can use their education, and that's cheaper. You shouldn't just say we're gonna go to MML because we do business with MML and they might charge a higher price than somewhere else that might charge a lower price. And you got a policy saying we only can go there. So I don't agree with that. So I think people should be free in where they want to go to school at and not limiting them and where and telling them where they should go to school. I don't agree with that at all. So I like the discussion. I like that you want to be well educated, being a councilwoman on this board. Any more discussion on this, council, before we go to payroll and bills? Thank you, Ms. Moore.
Yes, Madam Mayor, I also agree with not being instructed on where I can go to get educated. I don't agree with that.
Yeah,
I
that's
would like
back
to have it definitely open. As long as it is something that will improve the city and improve the ideas that we're bringing to the table, then I believe that we should be able to go.
Yeah, I feel like I was back in the 1950s telling me where I can go to school at that quick. Councilwoman Lucido.
Madam Mayor, I was just gonna say, I mean, there's like, you're correct. There are a lot of other organizations like Michigan State that offers classes and things like that. And I think that's why we were actually kind of like limiting it to like in-state is I think what we were discussing. And then if it was out of state, having to get approval by council. I think that's kind of where we were at that time with that. My only thing is, as obviously we would all only take classes that would better help improve us doing the job that we're elected to do. And that's why we're going to use the money for the class. I'm not going to go, become a history professor all the time. So with that said, Madam Mayor, I'm ready to make a motion for payroll bills.
Okay, thank you for the discussion, Council. Going to payroll, thank you, Councilwoman. Was you done, Councilwoman Moore?
Yes, Madam Mayor, thank you.
Thank you. Going on, next item is payroll and bills.
Madam Mayor, I'll motion to pay the bills in the amount of $2,815,432.19.
Support.
Moved and supported, please call the roll.
Councilperson Lucido,
Yes.
Councilperson DeMonico,
Yes.
Councilperson Moore,
Yes.
Councilperson Curley,
Yes.
Mayor Owens.
Yes, now we're at the second hearing of the public. You have 3 minutes. What's your concerns, ideas, opinions to the council? Please state your name and residency, and please be respectful amongst the council and the residents. Thank you. Please open the second hearing of the public, Mr. Fairbrother.
Yes, Madam Mayor, there is an individual by the name of Michael Jones who has their digital blue hand raised. Mr. Jones, the floor is yours.
Good evening, Mr. Jones.
Good evening, Council. Michael Jones, Eastpointe, Michigan. I just have a comment, especially about the sidewalk repairs that was made when it's saying about notification was being taken out. Yes, I received a notification about my certain pieces of my sidewalk need to be repaired, but they didn't give me enough time to even go and look and price it myself. So I was kind of puzzled with what they said, that it was possible that the city was it was cheaper for the city to do it than a contractor, or the fact I didn't even get a chance to even do it myself, because when I received the notice that next week they were out tearing up my sidewalks. So I feel like it's kind of like in a catch-22 to where you didn't give me a chance, allow me to even research how much it would cost to do the repairs with a contractor, or even the point of doing myself. So I'm kind of a little upset with that, even though mine is done. So I think it's irrelevant for me at this point. But for residents coming in the future, that's something that needs to be addressed too, that an ample amount of time people should be getting to be able to go ahead and repair their sidewalks in advance. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. Can you write that statement up and send it to us? So when we're putting these ordinances together and fees, we want to take in consideration the things you said and how we can put that together. So that's a concern for you. That's a concern for us. And so and sometimes people don't understand when we create these laws, sometimes it doesn't affect us as much if it hasn't been done to us, so we don't know what's going on. So like you said, you want to have enough time to be able to, analyze how much it's going to cost. And I don't know, we have something in there that says we're going to give you a certain amount of time once we give you the letter to let us know if you're going to get it fixed or not. So that's something we can work on. If you can type that up and send it to us, we can give that to our DPW.
Sure. And I'm more like that. I pretty much don't throw away too much in, especially a lot of stuff I receive from the city. I might still have the notice as well. So I can go back to church. So I will do that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any residents out there, if you have any issues, a lot of issues I haven't personally, dealt with. And sometimes when people don't deal with stuff, we don't know what you go through or some of your suggestions. So let us know how better to serve you and write our policies up so we can be fair across the table, and send us those through email. Thank you, Mr. Jones. Again, anybody else?
Yes, Madam Mayor, there is an individual with their digital blue hand raised by the name of 313.
Good
The floor is
evening.
yours.
Please state your name and residency, please.
He's muted.
Please state your name and residency, please.
My name is Jeannie and I'm from Eastpointe.
Good evening.
I would like to speak on the street sweeping. Now, my street has been swept a few times, And there was never a sign put up on the street at all to tell us they were coming. I don't park my vehicles in the street, but I know there's a lot of people that do. There was no sign ever put up letting us know they were coming through. My second issue is they put tar in the lines in the street to fill them in so the weeds wouldn't grow through. That's all coming out. They did a half job on that. So I think they need to revisit that in the company that did that because all the tar is coming up. The sidewalk repair situation, I got a notice in the mail about the sidewalk in front of my home. And I traced it back to when they put the new meters in. And I showed the DPW department that there's no way this was just done 2 years ago that my sidewalk cracked. And they called out the people that put the meter in, which I believe was consumers, and said to them, look at the hump in her grass. It all coincides. She's got a crack in her sidewalk, and you guys need to replace it. There's a stamp on that sidewalk showing she had it done 2 years ago. And they did. They came out and replaced it. When DPW came out here and said that they would call consumers to have them look at it, they never called. They never received a call from DPW. They never followed through. I did the work. My next issue is I was notified by a few residents that there were some issues brought up at an ethics committee meeting. It's been brought up a couple times now. And I think that they keep promising they're going to have an ethics form, a formal ethics form made up. There's not one made up. How long is it going to take council to do a form? I shouldn't have to write a letter. I should be able to fill out a form and cite the policy that's in that they wrote in regards to what I'm writing about. And that's it for tonight.
Thank you and happy holidays. Anybody else?
Yes, Madam Mayor. In the chat box, Miss Mary Hall Rayford says, have a wonderful, safe holiday, everyone. I will make sure that those at the state level can judge for themselves how effective RCV was for us with the documentary provided to us. And then Miss Shelley Siopa said, well said, I agree. Other than that, Madam Mayor, I see no other digital hands raised, as well as no one waving into their camera, so I believe it is now safe to close the floor.
Sounds good. The second part of the hearing of the public is now closed. Going to mayor and council reports before we go into closed session, starting with Councilman Curley.
Oh, thank you, Madam Mayor.
Yes, sir.
Well, first of all, just a comment to thank all the council and the mayor. It was a energetic meeting. We were able to discuss things, even though we had difference of opinion. That's what our democracy is about. That's what America is about. So we can disagree, and you know, I still love Cardi, and I still love Sylvia. So let me get into a more serious note, Madam Mayor. The latest count as of this morning with the virus, there was 1,194 citizens of our community that caught the virus, the COVID virus. And we've had 44 people die here in Eastpointe. And I know that you would agree with me, but my heart is so full of despair and sadness, not only for the people from the entire United States, but the 44 people who passed away. And I don't know if any of us on here now knew anybody. I don't know, but I mentioned once before that if there's 44 people who passed away, and I've been in the city 56 years, I very well might have known some of those people, but there's no way that we can find those things out. So pray for the vaccine that is going to work, my friends. And just in a week and a half, it'll be a glorious day of Christmas. And even though you may be by yourself, this is a new normal for that day. My wife and I will be by ourselves. Our daughter is not able to come here from California. But remember what Christmas is all about. And pray that we would have peace in our country and that the virus will be defeated very shortly. Good night to some of you. I know we have a closed session, so thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, sir. Councilman DeMonico.
Thanks, Mayor. And on what Councilman Curley said, yeah, everyone just keep wearing your masks. Vaccines are being rolled out this week, so let's just hope that everyone gets one of those as soon as possible. Of course, it's going to take time. We've got lots of people in the country, but just hold on. We'll eventually get through this. The country did 100 years ago. And I was happy to see yesterday that the Electoral College happened without any snags or anything, just like it did 4 years ago, whatever, side of the fence or anything, whoever you voted for, it's only good for democracy if we just keep going forward and not having issues with some of these certain items that are just, usually typical things in the democratic process. And I think that's really about all, other than maybe ranked choice voting. If anyone wants to talk to me about that, I'd be happy to, about the resolution or just like what we've done in the city. And I know I've heard enough from you, Councilman.
Don't do it, Curly. Don't do it. Don't do it. I gotta get some rest tonight. You guys are not about to keep talking about that resolution tonight. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and so that's it. I'd be happy to chat about anything I see. Maybe I can reach out to a couple of you that have commented. But that's about it. Yeah, I think, like you said, Councilman Curley, I think we had a lot of good discussion today. I think we do that each meeting. So that's all, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, sir. Councilwoman Moore.
Well, I would just like to say Merry Christmas to everyone, because we won't be seeing each other between now and then. So be out there, be safe, social distance, wear your mask, hand sanitizer, as my daughter named it, hand sanny. She shortened it like most young people do. And just stay safe, because COVID is real. It's not a hoax. It's not a fluke. It's actually killing people. It's actually putting people in the hospital. And just be aware of your surroundings, and keep prayers up, because that's the only thing that's going to keep us is the grace of God. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you. And again, welcome to our family this year. You're a new member of the family. So, Councilwoman Mayor Pro Tem Lucido.
Madam Mayor, I'm going to make this really short because we got a long closed session ahead of us. So I just want to wish everyone a happy holidays and a happy new year, and everyone stay safe and don't forget to wear your mask. And that's all I have this evening.
Thank you. First, before I end this last council meeting going into our new year, I got to first thank God. Number one, being a first-time mayor, I think anybody that was in leadership for millions of years or whatever, being sarcastic, no one was ready for what was going on with this virus and the civil protests. So whether I had millions of years of experience or not, nobody had experience in combating what was going on. So I have to thank God for allowing me the strength, the courage, and the people who back me, and to be a better mayor. The businesses in Eastpointe that came out and helped me, like Foot Locker, Fresh Choice, with helping feed the community, Gleaners for coming out just by a phone call for giving out free food for the community, Foot Locker for doing the census, getting people registered to vote, giving out book bags for the community, residents who came out to volunteer and help, not even in Eastpointe, but people in surrounding cities that don't even live in Eastpointe want to see me be successful and our community be successful. I want to say thank you. Thank you for helping me be a better leader, be a better mom, and to be a better woman of God. And as a leader, humility comes first. And I'm humbly saying thank you to everyone who had the sincerest, just had my back through this. And we're going to have a better year next year. And as long as I'm a mayor here, I'm going to do my very best to serve you with your help. And also, I want to give say a couple things for Toys for Tots. We'll be at Love Life this Saturday. They invited me in council. They will be giving out toys for 125 families. And I also want to thank DTE for blessing us with a donation to help us decorate our Eastpointe city. Again, I would like to just thank all the businesses throughout this whole year. This has been a hard year, for not only me, but for council, for our directors and our residents. We lost a lot of people. And not only did we lose a lot, but we gained a lot as well. I don't want to focus on what we lost, because we lost a lot. I lost a lot, lost friends and family, but I gained a lot, and so moving on to closed session, I just want to again say thank you. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. And again, we will move forward, we will stay prayerful, and we will stay safe. So thank you to all the directors and staff of Eastpointe and the residents. Can I get a motion to go into closed session?
I would make the motion, Madam Mayor, before I do that.
You never answered all the questions.
How much time are you going to give us before we go into closed session? 10 minutes?
Yes, sir. Let's do 10-minute break so we can have a break and then go into closed session.
I would move that we would go into closed session within 10 minutes.
I second.
Okay. Motion and support to go into closed session with in 10 minutes is 10:07. So let's go. Well, when everybody comes in closed session, we'll start. We got 10 minutes, but if everybody comes in before then, we can just get started. Okay. Motion and support, call the roll, please.
Councilperson Curley?
Yes.
Point of
Council.
inquiry, though, I think we should state the 4 items that we're going into closed session, though, for the motion.
Yes, sir. Correct. Councilman Curley?
Yeah, let me put my glasses on first.
Sorry, Harvey.
Yeah. Attorney-client privilege legal opinion from Labor Council. Attorney-client privilege legal opinion tax reversion properties. Attorney-client privilege legal opinion lease agreement. And Sarah, I didn't write the 4th one down. What's the 4th one?
Attorney-client privilege.
Yeah.
Waysverley versus the city of Eastpointe.
Yes, those are what?
It's pending litigation involving the Waysbury case.
Pending litigation. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Cardi.
With those additions in order, and we have a support. You still support that, Ms. Moore? With those?
Madam Mayor.
You do?
Yes.
Okay. Moved and supported, please call the roll.
Councilperson Curley?
Yes.
Councilperson Moore?
Yes.
Councilperson Lucido?
Yeah.
Councilperson DeMonico?
Yes.
And Mayor Owens.
Yes. See you all in 10 minutes. I believe you can start letting people out, Mr. Fairbrother.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, sir.
Brian, if you also see Attorney Tim Ferran and Attorney Brandon Fournier.
Yes, Mr. Fournier is here, although you can't see him. And I
Okay.
did let in Mr. Ferrand. I'm going to remove everyone, including myself.
Okay.
And then I have appointed Mr. DeMonico as well as Ms. Lucido as co-hosts. And actually, I appointed you as well, I believe, Rich.
Okay.
So you guys should have the ability to see who is participating. Can you see that in the right-hand corner of your screen?
Yes, sir. Yeah, Rich, I can, if you have any trouble using it, I can confirm with you.
Oh, no, I can see.
That too. Yeah.
So I'm going through.
Rich, do we need Tim Holman to be in this closed session on the tax reversion properties and the lease agreement?
I would recommend Kim for at least the tax reversion properties. I know this was something that she had requested.
Yeah, she had mentioned that she anticipated being a part of this and then stepping out of the closed session as we go into the other areas. So if she could be first, and then she could exit the closed session and we could continue. That
Okay.
would be ideal for her rather
Yeah.
than sit and wait to be let in.
And I was going to recommend that Tim's matter go next, because I think his will be the shortest out of all of them.
Okay, which one
And
is?
then Tim is on the Waysbury matter, and then
Okay,
Brandon.
that's Tim.
Brandon can speak next, and then we can just save the last two for me.
Okay, so Kim first, then Tim.
Then
Is that
Brandon.
we could let Kim out and then Brandon? Okay.
So, Mr. Albright, right
work
now
out.
in this room, there's myself, there's Cardi, there's Rich, there's Sarah, there's Elke, there's Harvey, there's Monique, Sylvia Moore, Randy Blum, Brandon Fournier, Otis, and
Yep. I see all them.
okay.
And
Do you want?
you have to put Kim back in.
I don't know which one is. I'm sorry, I don't know which one Kim is actually.
I think she has her name, doesn't she? She go under her.
No, ma'am.
No,
She may be
okay.
LG Stylo 6.
Okay, hang on. She just texted me.
Yeah, I don't see anybody with her name.
Okay. Yeah, I'll text her because she just said, I'm off the meeting now. Don't have any contact info for Randy.